We are brought to you today by Kai CBD, a Las Vegas-based health and wellness brand that crafts a full-spectrum CBD hemp-derived product line. Made with 100% love, the brand was created by a 20-year licensed massage therapist for her husband who suffers from chronic pain. Healing is what Kai lives for. Head over to their Facebook or Instagram and mention Pop Culture Corner to receive 10% off your order of all or any of their CBD-derived product line. Guys, their website is in the works. Head over to their Facebook or Instagram. The links are in the description below. Mention Pop Culture Corner and get 10% off. This ad is an easy one for me. Easy, as I use the products myself. They are wonderful. So head over, mention Pop Culture Corner, and get 10% off your order of all orders forever. What's going on, pop culture comrades? Oh, I forgot the word there. That's my fault. It's a late Friday night, but we decided we did an interview on Wednesday with Tucky Williams. Talked about the LGBTQ plus community representation in Hollywood. That's the night that we usually do our panels. However, we didn't get to do that, so it's a Friday night panel. We didn't want to impede on any of our friends or competitors, so we kind of had to shift around the time. I'm very sorry about that. Before we get started, guys, make sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, become a member for as little as $2.99 and gain access to tons of exclusives. For instance, tomorrow's podcast. Our members will have access to the show live, whereas everyone else will have to wait until Monday, unless you're listening on all podcast platforms, which will be available that day. So again, become a member, $2.99, very cheap. Head over to the store, get your Driving with Jack merchandise, your TY's Corner merchandise, some sweatshirts that are very outdated considering it's the summertime. I should probably update that, but who knows? It's me. So can you blame me? Subscribe and remember that we do it for you. We do it for the culture. I am not alone. I know. I'm not alone. I do have some friends with me. Believe it or not, I have some of those friends. I know. That's crazy. Here's the first one. Austin Lean, even though he is paid to be here.
I would consider us work associates. No, I'm kidding. We're friends.
Matt Jarbo.
Wait, you were paid to be here?
Yeah, he gets paid to be here. And our friend William with the greatest cardboard cutout in the world. Guys, how are we doing tonight?
I have that glove, that mitt you have behind you, that Infinity Gauntlet.
Which one?
Oven.
I have the oven mitt from Loot Crate.
Yeah. If you look at my Twitter page, I'm wearing that mitten, I think.
That's the Loot Crate one, and that's the legitimate one. I
wore that to the premiere. The one below the one below your shield. I actually wore that to the premiere of that one right there.
Yeah. So that one was a Loot Crate exclusive. The one that's on the one that's God, this is so difficult. How do weather women do this? This one right up here costs a lot of money, and the stones actually glow. They kind of like light up and you can take them out. It's pretty damn sweet if you ask me. TW McKay just showed up and then bounced. Doesn't seem like anyone wants to hang out with us tonight, guys. I don't know.
It's because I'm here. Let's be fair. You'll get some flack for having me on. That's all right, though. That's all right.
But Jarbo, if you look at our analytics, I think I sent you the picture that time.
Yeah, you did.
I sent you the picture of our analytics where Matt Jarbo is one of our #1 search terms for some reason. Yeah, Matt.
I'm both hated and really hated. So I think that's kind of how that really works out. Yeah.
I've gotten DMs like, good job ruining your brand by bringing Boulder Boy on. I was just like, get out of here, dude. Suck a dick. Come on.
It's been 3 years and people are still on this shit.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like fuck off.
Pretty much.
You know, I have my own stream. I have open call-ins. People can call on in, say what they want to say, and you know what? They never do.
Yes. And that's
so there's that as well. But no, I'm doing pretty horrible. I just got done watching Space Jam.
Oh.
So I mean, and I generally like most things. So this is tough for me because like I want my time back. Like, how do you make a movie about Looney Tunes playing baseball or basketball again, and it's boring?
Can we talk about something real quick?
Yeah.
So you watch Space Jam. I've been saying for quite some time that this movie should not be made, right?
No.
All it could do is tarnish the first one. Jarbo, myself, William, we grew up, loving Michael Jordan. To see him.
Not me.
You
He's
did.
like, don't bring me into this.
I grew up respecting Michael Jordan, loving Michael Jordan. No.
Different story. Okay. All right.
You're like, don't compare me to you.
Well, dude, I'm a
drag
Celtics fan, right? So I mean, I'm
you just gave it all away.
Yeah, I'm a Larry Bird guy. Listen, Jack Pierre brings up exactly what Jarbo was saying.
There's two terms for that. There's either Ready Player LeBron,
right,
or Ready Player Pooh.
Okay.
I like the Ready Player LeBron better, but I Heavy Spoilers is the one who told me about Ready Player Pooh, and I thought that was pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
But it's so like the thing with this movie is, like I said, it's basically a commercial for HBO Max. It's a good thing that it's on HBO Max because that's literally all it is. And it's like, it goes, it's meant to showcase like the wide amount of IPs that Warner Brothers has, but yet it also feels so small in what they showcase. Right. Like, why is it for a kids movie they spend so much time in R-rated properties?
Okay.
Mad Max Fury Road, R-rated. The Matrix, R-rated. Rick and Morty popping up. That's pretty much R-rated. I'm sorry, what?
Game of Thrones is in there, I think.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is in there. Yeah.
So who here has watched it?
I was okay. So hold on. I was in an auditorium where it was being played, but I could not watch the whole thing because we hosted a preview screening for it. So I was going back and forth, and we were doing surveys for it, and before, during, after. So I was around for it.
Right.
That's
right.
I actually got invited to the preview screening. I think it was on Wednesday, and I said no.
The tickets that we gave away went in 11 minutes. I gave away almost 100 seats in 11 minutes.
Wow.
What's up, DC Talk with Extended?
What's up, dude?
See you around here, bro. And I just want to say this before we do get started, guys. Like I said, we are raising money for breast cancer. For my mother in her name. So the goal is all super chats, member fees, monetization money, all of that, plus third-party donations. It'll all go towards starting a foundation in my mother's name so that we can help one woman per year for 5 years and then slowly and surely double it every 5 years because we would rather help one person a lot than a lot of people a little bit. This disease, believe it or not, health insurance does not cover everything. My mom spent more money, or we spent more money on things at like CVS, bandages, all that stuff that that her insurance didn't cover. So that's the goal. And we would really appreciate if you could, donate. The link is right here in the comments. It's also in the description. That's, just the last thing I'll say about it. But please, it means a lot to me. Our goal is $500 for the month. That's why we've been bringing in, all these interviews, and we have 5 more interviews to go this month. So it's going to be a really good time. Back to some. I know it's kind of heavy, guys. I'm sorry.
It's a worthy cause, though.
Yeah.
It's always good. Breast cancer is
survivor, so no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, William. What?
My mom's a survivor, breast cancer survivor. So Susan J. Coleman, everything we can do ever since she was diagnosed and came through it. So, and like I said, she got into a community of people, and some people did not make it through. So you understand, even though that your parents survived, it's not the case for everybody involved, and it does drain you. It does drain you, not just financially, but it's an emotional drain. And so, wow, it's not a bad cause at all.
Yeah. I lost my mom. So 1 year she was diagnosed. And again, my mom wasn't the type to like go to the doctor or anything like that. She went, she was forced by my sister to go. And they were like, listen, you have breast cancer and it's stage 4. So she didn't even last a year, and didn't get a lot of, chance. So we would like to do our part in helping, and anything we can do, even if you can't donate, guys, sharing the link means just as much, especially to me. So let's in her memory, because she wouldn't want me to sit here and talk about her, and she'd be like, Tyler, move the fuck on. Come on. Come on. She was an awesome woman. But so Space Jam came out. It's on HBO Max, part of the dual release slate that they have for 2021 up until 2022. What do you guys think critics are going to be saying about this movie?
Oh, they're going to destroy it.
You think they're going to destroy it?
They're going to absolutely destroy it. The difference. Go ahead, Mark. Trevor.
Oh, I was going to say Vox.com called it an apocalyptic horror, which I thought was great.
But it's funny though, because we had critics there, we have professional critics there, and the opinion of the professional critics and the opinion of the demographic and the people, like the kids and the family, were like they were from 2 different planets. It was like they literally landed on the same surface on 2 different ships from 2 different worlds. It was hilarious. The professional critics, some of the things that they said while we were there was hilarious. I mean, the terms that they used, they went out of their way to destroy this movie. But then I had kids and people in the 14, 16, 17 years old that were, going to go home and watch it on HBO Max, or, were excited about it and couldn't stop talking about it. So it's not for everybody. I personally, from what I saw, wasn't a big Space Jam fan to begin with from 1996. Yeah. Because that was when Michael Jordan was literally being shoved down every orifice that you could possibly have. But that being aside, I was a grown man by then. So it wasn't for me. I was in my 20s when this movie came out. So it just wasn't for me. It wasn't. They weren't aiming for me. They did target somewhere. I don't know how it'll do financially because it's hard to tell with HBO Max and day and day and all that. But there were people there that did enjoy it. Like I said, not one critic did, but
I'd like to welcome T.W. McKay or Theo to the stream. Theo, what is going on, man?
I'm good. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Because my internet's kind of running a little slow on my end, so I wasn't sure how choppy it is. Like literally, I'm getting like about 4 frames per second for everybody else on the stream.
I've had those days for sure.
Oh, I lived those days for months before, when we first started live streaming. I was using a laptop with like 4 gigs of RAM, and it would just be like,
You damn kids will never know what an AOL chat was like.
Listen, I'm 29. I know what that was like. That dial-up, baby.
I remember high school.
Who got mail? Remember that?
Yeah.
Used to make that sound that used to make.
The unforgettable sound of a 56K modem booting
56K,
up.
baby.
I remember
We got
trying to
people-
download a demo, a 64 megabyte demo for a video game,
my God.
and it took 8 hours.
Oh,
I was the first person on my
Yeah, it's
block to have
crazy.
cable modem.
64 megabytes. You know how like if I have an old memory card that's 64 megabytes, and it can't even hold one podcast.
Yeah,
Like
not
it-
anymore. Not anymore.
Like 1 hour podcast, it can't. It exceeds it. And
Well,
I'm
back
just, I
in
was,
those days, there was no podcast. I mean,
well, that's true. It was
You know,
funny. It
Well,
was like,
I started podcasting in 07 is when I first put out my first podcast. The
podcasts
same week.
are 18 years old now.
Yeah, they're old. I mean, like I
Adam
was late to the
Curry,
party, but
Adam Curry was the pod father,
yeah.
and his show is 18 years old.
Well, hey guys, I got to dip for a little bit. I forgot my
Yeah,
girlfriend
you
is here
back.
after the kids. Real quick here about Space Jam. I noticed a Pixar reference in the movie. For some reason, A113 was in there on I think it was on Marvin's spaceship, and it's like that was really out of place. Why that there was a Pixar reference? I don't know. That whole movie is super weird. Yeah, I'll be back in a little bit once I get the girls laid down. So thanks
right.
I'll be back.
All right. DC Talkway Extended says he shared the link with me. I don't know where. I just checked. I did not get it. But look, we're back.
I think he's
alone,
saying
guys.
I think he's saying he shared the GoFundMe.
He shared the
link,
breast
so
cancer
link
link.
is what we shared.
Oh, you shared the link.
Yep.
I'm gonna go to bed now. No, guys. Another property I'd like to talk about with you guys is the Suicide Squad. All right. There's been a lot of talk about the Suicide Squad. There's been a lot of hate geared towards the Suicide Squad. How are you guys feeling about this film?
Who wants to go first?
We'll start with you, William. You seem eager.
Yeah.
So we're just starting a promotion for that one.
Okay.
We'll be at the screening on August 3rd. I am hoping that this is with the promotion that we're doing and what Warner Brothers is doing is not too little, too late. I thought the promotion should have started months ago. I thought Starro, who is the main villain, should have been featured on so many things. On that hasn't happened. I think this is a trend that they're doing that I think is going to hurt some of their movies that could be great. I'm not a big James Gunn fan. He just nothing against him. His storytelling style just hasn't grabbed onto me yet. It might be with this movie that it does, but I think the biggest uphill hurdle that this movie has is its marketing so far. We're July 16th right now, and like I said, it's just now ramping up to the point where it's starting to get into that realm of excitement, and I thought it should have been there months ago. But other than that, the hate I think is that I hear that's coming from it is from people who think that anything that's not of a certain director means that we're never going to see any content from that realm again.
Right,
That's a problem because no matter what goes on with Snyder, even if he finishes his arc and goes to his completion, there are going to be other movies and other inner franchises that are going to happen. So we got to get over that. Two, it does, other than Harley Quinn, it doesn't have anybody notable in it. And we've already seen that just having a very popular version of Harley Quinn in a movie isn't enough to carry a movie. Because Birds of Prey are all over.
Amanda Waller, is being played by. I'm confused.
I think he's talking about the character. He's talking about right. So he's talking about Harley Quinn. She's the most notable comic book character of the movie. I would argue that maybe King Shark comes in second. But even then, he's just been gaining pop. But I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah, there's two Academy Award winners in this movie. Her and Peter Capaldi.
Right.
All right. You know what? I do see where you're coming from. That I think that. So I was kind of nervous for this movie, to be honest. I was nervous because number one, I didn't know if they were going to be rebooting the Suicide Squad franchise. Like, let's erase David Ayer's Suicide Squad, right? I was hoping that they wouldn't do that. And I'm glad that when we saw the first look, it was more like a continuation in a subtle reboot. Are you guys happy that they went that route rather than a complete, utter you know, erasure. I don't know what that is. That a word? Erasure of David Ayer's version.
Sort of. I mean,
it's kind of inconsequential. They haven't really regarded David Ayer as much in his version to begin with. If they had referred to it and it did what it was supposed to have done, I think it would have been a little bit different. But the fact that that original film was butchered, and that butchering of that film is why Birds of Prey was a bad movie. Because they made the decision not to use Jared Leto and not to feature him as much in that movie. And that decision led to them not using him in Birds of Prey. So you have a breakup movie with half of the breakup not in the movie. So unfortunately, there's no consequences either way for either rebooting or separating themselves from the Ayer cut. They just never really referred to the movie enough for it to matter, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I guess the writers apparently had also pitched like a more quote-unquote comic-accurate Cassie Cain, but for whatever reason, the studio just didn't want to go for it. I'm like, why would you not want to go for that character? I understand as far as like wanting to start fresh because a lot of audiences outside of the comics world don't know Cassie Cain, but it's just kind of, it was odd that they went in the direction that they did, if you know what I mean.
Well, they should have never had the Birds of Prey in it. That was your first mistake happening in that movie. That was a horrible decision, but like I said, that comes from having executives who have no attachment to the IP and how the IP is going to resonate with not just geeks, 1-2% like us, but the rest of the general audience. They have never been able to play that right, and when they have been able to play it right, it's usually because of something that they didn't do. Like Aquaman. Aquaman made $1 billion, but that was based off of other people's decision making. That was based off of Zack Snyder taking the risk, casting Jason Momoa and him being a MILF magnet that drew people over and over again. And a lot of the situations that they've taken over. But if you look at what they've done on their own, outside of that, their success rate hasn't been that great. Shazam's a great movie, but it's a $400 million movie. Birds of Prey was a bomb. So it's really, when you don't have the understanding of how the IPs, the characters are going to affect people, you make bad decisions like the Cassandra Cain, like Jared Leto. You're just throwing darts and hoping you hit the board.
For sure. Do you think that if James Gunn, say the cards lined up correctly, and James Gunn was able to feature that Joker that we saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League, do you think that would have been overwhelming, or do you think that would have been kind of cool?
I don't want to take up your show. Go ahead.
I'm asking.
I prefer even with the 5 minutes that we got, I actually prefer the Snyder cut Joker to the Suicide Squad Joker personally, at least between both design and at least even portrayal to an extent. It just seems to work at least a little bit more to my sensibilities as opposed to the design that was featured in Ayer's Suicide Squad. That's just yeah.
It's tough to say because we never really saw what that Joker was supposed to be fleshed out to be because he was cut out.
That's a good point.
Right.
So much. So
right. All right. Yeah. Kind of moving on. Not moving on. What do you guys think that? What do you guys think that's going to happen from here? Do you think that? Because I was talking to a couple people, and they think that after James Gunn's The Suicide Squad comes out, there's little to no hope that the Ayer cut will ever see the light of day, because they don't think our audiences are smart enough to realize there's a difference. Do you think that we will ever, whatever form that it takes, do you think we'll ever see the Ayer cut?
I would say 80% no, if not 90% no.
Okay. Austin?
Seconded.
I kind of said it yesterday. I mean, I guess I'll agree with that. Yeah, 90%, but I don't care. I just don't care. If it comes out or not.
Yeah,
if it comes out or not.
And the Schumacher cut, all these cuts,
Yeah, I am of the mindset that, like, look, Zack Snyder's Justice League was a pretty drastically different situation. I mean, you guys, we all saw he had literally hours of footage taken out of that harmed, the movie when they didn't put it in. But now that after that, it's like everybody's coming out. We want this cut, and we want there's director's cuts of everything, and it's like, so what? Are we gonna get 2 versions of every movie now? I'm just that part I'm kind of over. I'm kind of over the whole releasing every cut. And look, I'll be honest. There were good moments of the first Suicide Squad, but I don't think there's much that could save that movie.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that good.
A lot of people said that about BVS.
Yes, I agreed.
2 different levels, though. When you're talking about BVS, you're talking about the part of the Holy Trinity. With Suicide Squad, anything you got from Suicide Squad was a bonus. That movie wasn't supposed to make $670 million. Right. That they got very lucky because that was the first time that you got to see that interpretation of Harley Quinn. It was the right moment at the right time. Yes. I don't think there's any gain for them. I mean, you could go ahead and put it on HBO Max, but if they did it, there's not going to be any fanfare because there just wasn't that much regard. It was a movie that was released. It made more money than they thought. It beat their projections. It put her on the map, and there's really nothing. The only reason you're going back to the well for would be to get more of her, or if you were going to go forward with the Joker. But to be honest with you, the version that you saw, like I agree with TW, that the version, the 5 minutes that you saw in Zack Snyder's Justice League of Jared Leto's Joker was way more compelling.
Yeah,
that got.
Well, that's why I asked. That's why I asked if you guys would rather, if there was some way that it could have possibly happened, and we could have included the Joker. And it was the Zack Snyder Joker, not the original.
Yeah. I'm torn because it depends on what the story that Gunn is telling is. If he's telling a story like I think he's telling with just Starro just totally screwing things up and killing people and causing people to die on a mad basis. If Jared Leto's Joker maybe fit in there, but the last thing I'd want to see is him shoehorned in. But it all depends on what kind of story Gunn is telling. It may not fit to the point where you're wasting an Academy Award winner like Leto just to get him there. It all
just for I totally understood. And I just want to say to Metaverse, welcome. Thank you for joining the panel.
No problem. How's everyone doing tonight?
We're doing. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but we're doing.
That's well.
What are your thoughts on the Suicide Squad? We're less than a month away from release. The campaigns, the production, the marketing campaign is kind of ramping up. Finally, we've seen a little bit about a lot of things. Where do you stand on this film?
So, I said this on a previous stream, but it feels like a James Gunn film to me. The Suicide Squad, the first trailer that was shown, it felt like it kind of had the same vibe as one of the Guardians of the Galaxy trailers, in my opinion.
I was on that screen. You said that.
yeah. You could say that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm not trying to say it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's what I felt when I watched the trailer. Mm-hmm. I think the cast of characters is way more interesting, in my opinion, than the ones in the Ayer version of Suicide Squad.
Agreed.
And I am interested to see, because I also said this in the stream with William, but the one thing I admire about James Gunn is that when it comes to his comic book movies, he takes the most obscure, irrelevant characters in the comics and makes them mainstream. And I just think that doing that with Starro is fantastic. I love Starro as a character. I do for example, I love the 2-parter episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold that features Starro. I think that's a very interesting episode. So I'm looking forward to it. Although I'm not the biggest fan, but I am looking forward to seeing what this version has to offer.
Awesome. For anyone who doesn't know, Starro is actually the first villain that the Justice League ever faces off against together in the comic books. Now, of course, we would never get to see like a Zack Snyder Justice League movie that Starro is the main villain of. I just don't think it would work. Such
Not
a
with that
kind of a. What?
Not with that attitude, he said.
Not with
Well,
that.
I think Starro. I think this is the perfect movie for Starro to appear in. I think with
Absolutely.
with the lackadaisical kind of feeling, the comedic aspect of it. I don't think that a Zack Snyder film with Starro would work. I do think a James Gunn Suicide Squad movie with Starro, I think that works. I think it's the perfect way to do it. But are there any other villains that you think we might end up coming across?
I mean, maybe some cameos in like
or
this movie.
I'm sorry, what?
Just in this movie, or
just in this movie? Yeah, because all right, so we've seen glimpses of all of our main cast. We've seen the Thinker. Do you think we're gonna get any other like little cameos or nods or whatever?
I know yesterday they released that picture of.
He did just
somebody
have
go.
that drop that I knew. I think also Calendar Man.
Mm-hmm.
So the Calendar Man. By the way, Calendar Man is a great character if you use correctly.
If you kill him.
What?
Yeah, if you kill them, all these characters are great. These characters are there to die, by the way. Only 2 or 3 of these characters are going to make it out of this movie. So don't get too attached to anybody. Like Ratcatcher, don't be getting a Ratcatcher tattoo because the likelihood of most of these characters dying, literally
to be fair,
the tagline for the movie is "Don't."
They're dying to save the world. So
right. So who do you think makes it out of the movie? Harley Quinn. I think going to be Harley Quinn, Bloodsport, and King Shark.
No, I think King Shark's dead.
You think King? How?
Huh? He probably attacks a whole bunch of Starros or a whole bunch of things at once and kills a whole bunch of them. He'll go out like a boss, but I think he's going to go out. Capaldi's
Really?
dead.
You don't think that they would capitalize on because King Shark? And Peacemaker, obviously.
I was waiting for you to correct yourself because Peacemaker's got his own show coming.
But I was gonna say unless Peacemaker,
well, they could kill him and show a prequel. I mean,
I don't think Peacemaker makes it out.
I was gonna say Peacemaker could be a prequel in the sense of like the Black Widow style, but I think King Shark, like Groot. Yeah, well, I mean, technically,
Groot died.
Did die, yes. But King Shark doesn't come back like that. So, I mean, I know most of the squad is most likely, not going to make it out of this film.
Jack, the Colonel's going to make it out. Harley's going to make it out. Idris Elba's character is going to make it out, and Amanda Waller's character is going to be around. The rest of these characters are pretty much going to be dead because there's nothing marketable about them beyond this movie.
Right.
They're throwaway characters. That's why he took this project.
Right, and it allows the story to move forward, right? Because if the characters that you're using currently die, it only allows you to step it up next time and bring in new characters, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just
grateful he didn't take on mainline characters because he would have been absolutely destroyed if he did. They offered him everything. If James Gunn would have taken over Superman, you think Zack Snyder was put through the ringer? They would have absolutely obliterated James Gunn, and it would not have been worth it. He would have never come back to DC again.
I was going to bring this up next because it's an easy transition. We did learn that Warner Brothers offered James Gunn Superman. What do you think that could have been?
Bad management. Poor decision making. What they did, they saw a guy that was from Marvel, and you got to realize the hierarchy at the moment. One of the main problems of DC films right now is they don't embrace their own framework and their own vision. They're trying to embrace something that worked for a bunch of different IPs that does not apply to them. James Gunn was a Marvel guy. He was available, and they wanted that. They wanted that so bad that they gave him carte blanche, and they gave him, not thinking about how much damage that could have done to their brand. James Gunn is a polarizing director. You either love him or you don't even know who he is, one way or another. But if you know who he is and you've seen his movies, the take that he would have taken on Superman, and if he does things consistent to the type of movies he's made, I think the softies would have just literally crucified the guy.
Okay. And do you think that Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams are better equipped to handle a character like Superman?
To handle the version that they're putting forth, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I know that Ta-Nehisi is writing it, and
yes.
I have my own opinions on Ta-Nehisi's writing.
I think we all do. I honestly, I think we all have our. I mean,
JJ, executive producer, though, they haven't picked a director yet.
Right.
So if Ta-Nehisi's writing and JJ's producing, I'm so curious as to who. Honestly, I know this may sound like another Marvel grab, but I actually, if they're gonna do a Black Superman, I'm gonna say it. Get the man behind probably the most successful Black Superman movie of modern times to direct it, if you can. The guy, what's the guy that directed Black Panther?
Ryan
Coogler.
Yeah, give it to him, man. I actually would want to see how that goes down. I actually would want to see that.
I just I think that would be amazing, especially for a Black Superman. I'm not a fan of recasting Clark Kent. Even if it, I mean, do you guys think they're going to go the Earth 2 kind of way, or?
Yeah, they've already established that it'll be this Superman will take place in a different universe separate from the main one. Cavill's going to be back as Superman. That's not, to me, it's not a question. It's just a matter of making announcements, contracts lining up, money being right, and the fact that the guy is sought after by everybody who wants to put a human in a motion picture. He's the top of their list. So.
I mean, look, he went from barely people barely knowing who he was. All of a sudden, he's a household name who. I mean, the guy can kind of pick his projects at this point. I mean, the success of the success of Man of Steel,
Argyle, right?
What?
Argyle,
hence
Argyle. Yes, I mean
he's
the guy.
Running for James Bond. I mean,
I would love to see him.
Please pick him as James Bond. Please.
I don't think.
I think after his Mission Impossible.
I don't think he'll be Bond anymore just because of Argyle existing as a project. It's why you've had. I think he'd be really worried about being typecast at that point between Argyle, Man from U.N.C.L.E., Bond, and Mission Impossible, right? These kind of sort of super spy stories. All these Mission Impossible different. I could see him wearing typecast. He already has Argyle Bond-like character. That is going to be a franchise because it's being from a series of books.
You cut out there a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you like that.
How's that? Am I okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Internet's been a lot.
That's okay. That's okay. But yeah, so I'll continue my thought here while your computer catches up. But Henry Cavill went from someone who people barely knew to this household name that every studio wants their hands on. And it seems that Warner Brothers is the only studio that has not closed the deal, right? Who is not that we know of, at least. And, it's crazy to me. Did you guys watch the trailer for The Witcher?
Yeah.
Are you guys fans?
I am. Yeah.
I'm slowly coming around. I hated the way when I watched the first season,
the timeline.
I didn't understand that at first, and I didn't know that that's the way they were doing it, and that really took a lot of the air out of it for me. Yeah. Quality-wise, once I got to what the hell was going on, I was like, oh, okay. I didn't like the fact that I had to wrap my head around that until I figured that out, what they were doing. But other than that, it's a quality show.
Yeah,
these shows are too short too. So 6, 7, 8 episodes.
I know, man. I want at least give me 13. I miss the 13 episodes. Hell, I miss network TV where they gave
26.
us 26 episodes. I miss that so much. But there's only so much story you can tell. Then you get the filler episodes and stuff like that.
Well, the budgets. I mean, these aren't just. I mean.
Yeah, exactly like Austin was saying.
Yeah, they're too. Yeah, it's too much to do at 22. Imagine, that's $350 million, right? I mean, how many? What that Amazon series of Lord of the Rings? I think it's like budget's $500 million or something like that, and that's just for one season.
Like that.
Yeah,
yeah, and that's never been heard of or done before. Like so that's the biggest step they're taking forward, I guess, with that type of stuff. But yeah, I think those days are going to pretty much die out of the 22 episode seasons. But I agree that I miss it and I liked those.
Well, I'm okay with a 13 episode season, right? Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, they did the 13 episode season, and I think that was enough time to tell a good story. And it was that's when you were able to flesh out a character. These 6 episodes, Loki was 6 episodes. We did get a lot in 6 episodes, but I think that the story would have benefited had we had a couple more episodes.
I think there was just enough episodes for Loki.
Will have a longer.
Yeah, I think Loki was.
I think season 2 will have a longer episode order. Just
because already people, by the 3rd episode of Loki, people were like, "All right, this is the filler episode." I was like, "Geez, you guys are already getting."
I mean, episode 1 is just basically like that variant of Loki was playing catch up with his own timeline, and he's not really at the complete mindset that he was in Infinity War, but he's like kind of there. And over the course of the show, he goes like further from where he was in Infinity War, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that was one of my worries about Loki too. Going into the series was that how are they going to catch this Loki from 2012 up to the Loki that we saw last in Infinity War? Because I didn't want it to be a cop out where overnight, now he's just this good guy again. And I was really worried that they were just going to kind of like breeze by that and, use some, storytelling cop out to basically do that. I'm not saying I liked that the way that they did it, but it sufficed for me. I was like, okay, I can understand. He watches himself die at the hands of Thanos. He sees that he's responsible for not only his mother's death, but his father's death, his brother's entrapment. He sees all of that, and he sees what's going to happen to him had he keeps going down this path. And so to me, I did understand how they got him to there. I just think the transition was a little bit too quick. So I think that's why maybe a couple more episodes for the season maybe would have benefited.
For me, that scene is one of my favorite scenes of the entire first season because
it was great.
It all boils down to how Tom Hiddleston is reacting to him seeing these memories. It's kind of like the thing of if you haven't it's I wasn't going to say I have an amnesia, but that's not the case in this. It's like if you stepped outside of if you stepped out of your life and you saw everything that was going to happen and you're going to react to what you're seeing. That's the type of thing I could see, because I know people all the time want to know, oh man, what's going to happen to me in 20 years, what's going to happen to me in my life. And they kind of showed that with this scene. And I think that's how any person would react if they actually saw their future.
Right. And you see it in his face when Thanos crushes him. You see him cringe almost. And it's just that was very powerful. I thought it was very powerful. Again, that scene was amazing. It was great. It was great. Again, I just think that I'll say it again for the 3rd time. I think the show could have benefited from a couple extra episodes. At
least 2, yeah. It needed to be 8 episodes, in my opinion.
In my opinion, I could be wrong. Maybe 6 episodes was the perfect amount, but for me, 2 more episodes, and maybe I'm being selfish. But I know Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. I think they were both perfect in the amount of time that we got with the characters.
WandaVision, I thought could have used less episodes.
I could have done less. WandaVision. Yeah.
Okay.
I actually thought, I'm probably in the minority on this, but I actually thought that for Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
You thought it could have been less episodes.
Yeah, only because like certain things I felt like dragged on a little too long, like certain topics dragged on a little too long for me, for my liking. But other than that, I thought it was okay. Falcon is like my least favorite of the three, only because of
really
of writing and the pacing. Yeah, I
really?
I like parts of it. Like one of my friends hates the new Falcon cap suit, but I'm like, I love it. It's
it was
right
so
from the comics.
good.
It's right from the comics.
Literally.
I love it. But
it is pulled right from a book.
Yeah, and the scene that he does with the senators at the end in that suit, I'm like, that's such a very Cap thing to do.
Yeah, they're again. They definitely, this show, the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, they definitely played towards the politics of it, and it was obvious, right? It was obvious that that's kind of what they were doing, right? The show is literally a black man taking over as Captain America. It played on those themes of racism in not just the United States but the world, and it was always going to be a prevalent theme and storyline in the show, right? I don't think we were ever going to get around that. I think a lot of people had problems with that final speech because it seemed like Falcon was talking to you, right? To you
I
the
love
viewer.
that final speech because again, like that's something that Cap would do, and I'll even say this, like that's also something that I could see Superman doing as well. That those types of speeches are what those characters are about. The problem with me is that I know this show went through some reshoots and everything. Yes. And they had to change the script because of COVID.
Because of the pandemic. Yeah.
And I think that is another reason why it didn't click with me is because it's because of those reshoots. I'm like, also again, I'm in the minority. I did not
this is
care.
So right.
Personally, I like the 3 series. My only critique is the villain Carly Morgan. Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I did not care for the Flag Smashers. I really thought that John Walker should have been the villain. And let me pitch to you my theory and what I thought it was going to be.
Baby, let's go.
So Captain America, in a lot of people's eyes, is supposed to represent the best of what Americans should strive to be, just like Superman, right?
Right.
John Walker should have been the reality of how Americans actually are. That would have been such a great dynamic.
I love that.
Oh my God. And that's why I thought they were going to go with this. And I was like, yes.
Love that.
Yes. And also because, to give you more parallels, Cap is from World War II, known as the greatest generation ever. And John Walker is a modern Iraq soldier. And let's be honest, those guys aren't looked at favorably. In fact, they're the closest similarity to veterans they are is the Vietnam vets. Like they're looked at as like, you're the reason why, this and this and this, when it's really not their fault. But again, that animosity would cause bitterness towards he would be like, why did I actually risk my life to save you people? You're acting so ungrateful towards me. And that type of mentality, it would have been so good. Oh my God. That's why I got so upset when I found out he wasn't the main villain, because I think John Walker could have carried the main villain role, and like slowly over time, instead of like trying to be all you can be, he fell into the trap that most Americans do.
I missed your last point. What were you saying now? I came in right at the ungrateful.
He was pitching us his idea for how Carly Morgenthau shouldn't have been the villain of Falcon and Winter Soldier. John Walker should have been the villain.
It would have never worked. You know why? Because he was never intended to be a villain. And all you're seeing, what you saw in Falcon and Winter Soldier, is a snapshot of his entire career in as far as how the comics goes. He's not as much a villain as he is as an evolution. I mean, when he first comes in as Super Patriot, he's a fathead, and then he gets handed the mantle of Captain America. But all John Walker ever was somebody who's trying to do the right thing. He reacts the same way a lot of people would react in that situation. When Battlestar died, I mean, he reacted in the way that a lot of people react. So it would have been really hard, in my opinion, to make him the villain, because he's only doing a lot of he had no motive. He had no motive other than trying to carry out his mission. the best way he could. That, in my opinion. I mean, other people.
Well, I mean, that's the theory I was spitting out, William. Was that like I was telling them like, to me, Captain America, like Steve Rogers' Captain America, is the same as Superman, as in the character is supposed to represent the best that humanity and well, in this case, Captain America is supposed to represent the best that Americans should strive to be. And I thought that they were going to like frame John Walker as like, you know, this is the dream of what we should be, and this is the reality of how we are. I thought that's the role that John Walker was going to play as, like like it was going to show how like what's the word? Oh God. Allegorically was going to be like show the worst of America, because Steve Rogers' Cap showed the best, basically, kind of like that yin and yang.
He sort of did. He did actually, because back when Steve Rogers becomes Captain America, the sense of patriotism and how the military is depicted as the way it is now. We've been through several different types of generation changing wars since Steve Rogers came out of the ice. So you're basically looking at the same type of mission through two different characters. We're a different country than when Steve Rogers was Captain America.
Right, and I mentioned that. Yeah. Yeah,
and part of Steve Rogers' appeal is that he holds on to, unfortunately, an antiquated view that isn't probably as mission friendly as would because the people who hire these military contractors are probably going to approve more of how John Walker does things than they would ever approve of how Steve Rogers does them. Unfortunately, you know, you go out, you kill the enemy, and if it gets messy, we'll explain it away. Go on and kill the next enemy. Yeah, you know, that's the difference between the two. But it was. I love the way he was portrayed personally.
Well, is it just me, or did he come off as like they try to portray him as like an anti-hero?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't like that.
I mean, there was a reason he was in the final battle. You know,
I felt that was so. I was like, why is he here?
I know, me. You know, I won't lie. I felt that as well, because I knew at that point that they were setting him up as a U.S. agent, and I mean, I didn't expect what's her name to show up.
Valentine. Yeah, I loved her for a couple of minutes that she was in the Countess.
Madam Hydra. Then, you know, had Black Widow come out when it was supposed to, I think that would have held so much more weight, because we can clearly see that she's assembling some sort of team.
For Armor Wars. They'll all be in Armor Wars.
I mean, the same way that the movies kind of all lead up to this culmination event, the Disney Plus series are all leading up to this sort of culmination event. And I thought originally that was going to be Secret Wars or Secret Invasion, whatever it's called.
Secret Invasion is the one with the scrolls.
Yes. Yeah. But now I'm thinking it is Armor Wars.
Yeah, because what's her face at the end? Carter at the end is setting herself up, and she's talking to people that are going to basically stealing government technology because now she has access to it.
I did love how they portrayed her as a Snowden type character. I thought that was pretty cool.
That was dope. You know, with the I mean, not gonna lie, the power broker thing, I kind of guessed as who it was.
Well, that was easy. She was using terminology that you could easily remember who said that.
Yes.
You know, I mean, I don't think they tried to hide that. I really don't think they tried to hide that at all.
You don't think that they tried to hide the power broker from us?
No, because I think they left huge. They didn't leave breadcrumbs. They left chunks of the bread.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, in this era of spoiler, when you have entire podcasts on spoilers, everyone I ever watched picked up on that immediately. And when I was watching it with people, they picked up on that as we were watching it. So I don't think they really were trying to hide that.
Okay.
I think it was more of a building block than it was a surprise.
Right.
For future things.
And so now we know that there will be a fourth Captain America film.
Yes.
And Falcon or I mean, I guess we can call him Captain America now. Or what do they call him? Black Falcon.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Is Captain Falcon taken? I think that's another character.
Captain Falcon is in
it's the Nintendo game.
Yeah, it's in the Nintendo games.
God.
But So we know that he's going to be the lead. Do you think that we'll see the return of Steve Rogers in that show? I mean, in that film, in some form, some shape or form.
Probably
No.
Not like an actual like cameo, but I think like there might be a scene where they talk about it because there was a lot of those scenes in Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
If they brought him back for that movie, that would be a massive mistake. If they're going to do anything, if they're going to do
what they're doing,
that would undercut exactly. If they're going to do anything with his storyline, I actually like what TW mentioned in that you do some. Obviously, with Loki now, it's possible you can follow him from World War II. Maybe have a history where he didn't get frozen in ice, and all that, and you have that stuff from Black Widow where Red Guardian claims that he fought Captain America. There's a bunch of stuff they can do now because of Loki, where all of that stuff is like plausible. So that they're going to do anything as far as bringing Chris Evans back, that I think would be the most interesting. That or explaining how he put the time stones back. But
they can do like an animated series, like they're doing with What If, and just have some voice actor play Chris Evans, because I want to see now that they have X-Men, I want to see Captain America team up with Logan. I want to see it.
You're about 6 years away from X-Men now.
Yeah,
you're quite a while away from X-Men.
I am a very patient man.
Give us a time frame. When do you think we'll see the X-Men come in?
About
2023.
That's 2 years.
Between 4 to 6 years. 4 to 6 years.
The rumor is that for the Captain Marvel 2 sequel, that Rogue is supposed to be in there just so they can get that iconic Rogue versus Captain Marvel fight out of the way, basically. That's the rumor. That's a rumor I heard. I don't know how true it is, but
they've already gone out of order with the character, though. Captain Marvel has already progressed beyond what Rogue would be stealing. Remember, Rogue, she has the powers of binary for the most part now, and she didn't become binary until after Rogue touched her. In Avengers Annual 10. All right, so they wouldn't. The narrative would make no sense
unless they spun it somehow.
Yeah, and it would that would be.
It would take the weight.
It would be retroacting. They have not shown the history of retconning that far back into a character's development. If it was just a regular, she was just regular Miss Marvel, superhuman strength and ability to fly, I could see that happening. But she's gone full on binary in which she is now.
Is there a chance then that she might try to take Monica or Kamala's powers then? If she
I don't think they'll add that storyline. I don't think she'll steal anybody's powers like that. I mean, they may find a way to just write themselves. She might get another Kree. I mean, who knows? But a lot of it's going to depend on what they do as far as what comes up with the multiverse, the Celestials, and how they reset their reality. I think they're moving away from the Avengers and moving towards making the Fantastic Four ultimately the surrounding cog of their universe. So I don't think you're going to see a lot of Avengers stuff.
And as far as the X-Men go, look, Kevin Feige 4 years ago, 3 years ago now, when he bought Fox, said, don't expect the X-Men for 5 years at least. So we're already halfway into that, so that's why I say 2023. I do think
phase 5.
I do think this like Loki and Doctor Strange 2 and all these upcoming films, No Way Home, like this is what they were waiting for to introduce them. But I think we'll be seeing them. I think we'll be seeing them sooner than 4 to 6.
I personally think that Sony's going to use that to take their character back. That's what I think is going to happen. I think that they're going to use what I was talking about.
You guys have X-Men now. Give us Spider-Man back.
Well, no, Sony owns it, so they don't have to take it. They can just say we're going to build our own universe. What you look at what they're doing, they're building an undercarriage so that they can put their Spider-Man in the middle of all that. And I think that they're going to use No Way Home as some way, somehow, Doctor Strange is going to have to refix the multiverse and restrand it in a way that does not include Spider-Man in their main universe. And he will be reinserted into the Sonyverse from the root up, which means whereas he was not a part in the founding of what Venom became to be, when you remerge those universes again, those strands that you saw at the end of Loki, when you remerge them, you will now have a reality that always had Tom Holland in it.
But we do know Tom on his contract, he's set to appear. He's allowed to appear in 2 more MCU films.
One of them is already made. and the other one is the last one. That's it. The Sony's contract with them is only for 2 more films. Holland has a contract with them until 2020, whatever, 2026.
Right? Yeah.
So his he'll be playing Spider-Man. I just don't think it'll be in the context of the MCU. I think he will be the center of their own universe, especially with Venom Carnage coming out. If they make any dollar more than $858 million, to me, the executives are gonna be like, we just did this with a character twice that was not connected with the MCU. Let's take our guy back and because they're giving first dollar percentage to Marvel Studios when they make this money.
What about Morbius? Do you think that connection is there?
It will be. It will be. I think.
So then, how do you? Okay, so you think that is Vulture?
Yeah, that's Vulture. Sony owns all of those characters.
Right.
Sony owns Vulture. Sony owns Morbius. Sony owns Venom. Sony owns any of those characters that appeared in the Spider-Man franchise. As far as that
franchises, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'm just saying because we have yet to see the Sony verse cross into the MCU, right? So why even bother doing that then? If you're just gonna why even show Vulture in Morbius if a year later you're gonna pull Spider-Man out and go?
Because Vulture and Morbius are in the Sonyverse. They've only been in Sony movies. Those Spider-Man, all those Spider-Man movies are Sony movies. Right, they're just produced by Marvel.
But you see what I'm saying, right? Because I would, from the audience perspective, right? Audience perspective here. Spider-Man movies are the 3 Spider-Man movies, or 2 and then 3rd upcoming, are MCU movies, right?
But they're not.
But
no, they are.
But I'm talking about the general audience, right? Not I'm not talking about you or I. We know that Sony and Marvel made a deal so that they could bring Spider-Man in, yada yada. But why do that if a year later you're going to be like, we're not re-upping this deal. We're going to take Spider-Man back. We're going to create our own universe that includes Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and we will have no more connection to the MCU at all. Then why even drop?
Why would that hinder them though? Why would that hinder them? They introduced him into a Sony movie. They introduced Vulture into a Sony movie. Morbius is being introduced into a Sony movie, so that they're already building their universe for him to come into.
Well, Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man Homecoming are not Sony movies though.
Yes,
like
they are.
They are distributed by Sony, but they are Marvel Studio productions that are co-produced by Sony Pictures.
But
so
the clearance is from Sony.
But the agreement to mix characters is a joint venture between both companies. But the rights, how it breaks down is that the characters that are in both of those versions, like outside of Spider-Man, are wholly unique to that universe, unless otherwise negotiated. So the idea there is that, like, when the deal fell through in 2019, if they were to go forward, the only character from Spider-Man who could continue forward at Sony would only be Tom Holland's Peter Parker. And even then, there could be no reference back to previous Marvel movies because it would be something that's totally different. MJ, Ned Leeds, Vulture, Aunt May, all those characters are all wholly unique to the universe that they created, that they've signed a mutual agreement for. Anything other than that is their own company separate.
Okay.
Yeah. So no, it's not 100%. So Vulture coming over, and most likely Michael Mando's Scorpion coming over, and Morbius, that is a deal between Sony and Marvel, like an extension of that deal.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a lot to that deal that is not announced. And they continue. Look, the executives have said it. The Sony executives have been like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot coming that we haven't said." So everybody thinks that deal was just for this movie and like a couple appearances. No, they set up a deal for for years to come that they'll be merging these universes together.
Yeah, it seems like. I'm
gonna bet no.
All right, so. We have Craven coming, right? And don't even get me started on the casting. Craven, Morbius, Vulture, I guess Doc Ock. I mean, if you want to consider that, all these characters. A Sinister Six movie seems to be where Sony has always wanted to go. They've always wanted to build the Sinister Six movie, but a Sinister Six movie kind of hinges on Spider-Man, right? So do you think that Sony could do a Sinister Six movie without Tom Holland's Spider-Man in it?
I don't think that's their plan. I think that's why they're
that's not their plan. Yeah.
Well,
it's not that they're taking him back. He's just going to be in both. He'll be in both.
But the Sinister Six. Okay, as of right now, Tom Holland does not exist in the Sonyverse, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So all these villains, Morbius, Morbius. Oh God! No, all of a sudden, Venom. All these characters, they already have storylines that are being built, right? And if I am out of place in saying the Sinister Six are formed because of the hatred for Spider-Man, right? So how does this happen? How do we build a Sinister Six movie without having Spider-Man there to be the root of that evil?
That's why I think that he will be reinserted into their universe. That's what they're setting up for.
Well, yeah, and if you're right in saying that yes, he'll come back over to Sony exclusively, then yes, I could see maybe where they could do that. But if they don't, is there any way that we can maybe introduce Miles Morales into the MCU, and then or could Andrew or Toby be Sony's Spider-Man and Tom Holland stay in the MCU?
I've heard that they're looking at. I've heard again through the grapevine. Those sites, how they operate. That Sony apparently wants like Toby back for Spider-Man 4.
Oh God, yes.
That's what I've heard. I don't want that. I'm sorry. Like
no,
2007 was 14 years ago. Like let it.
Yes, I completely agree.
Give me a cameo, sure. I'm down with that. But
my gosh, we're gonna bring Pierce Brosnan back as James Bond too next year.
It's gonna be nuts.
So, but would you guys like to? Do you think that the introduction of Miles Morales is coming to the MCU?
No.
Yeah, of course. Eventually.
No.
I think Miles Morales is going to be introduced in Sony, and I don't think that their character will ever cross over. I think they're going to keep that character from is going to be from beginning to end is going to be a Sony character. That there's just too much to be made on their own, and by that time, you're talking about 4 or 5 years from now. I don't think you're going to see Miles Morales right now while Tom Holland is at his height. No matter who has the rights to the character, and it'll probably be Sony. I see Miles Morales down the line, and I see that wholly. I would bet half the stuff I'm sitting here in my store that Miles Morales will be exclusively Sony because they're not going to need anybody else to push that character. That character is already a brand that they're developing right now. They got a sequel coming through. By the time it's time for a live action Miles Morales, they will have established their character wholly within their own universe. There would be no business in them. Doing
well, I mean,
you've had a lot of success with Miles. Miles is a character that not a lot of people knew, honestly. Unless you read the comic books or are a diehard Spider-Man fan, not a lot of people know who Miles Morales was. And then Into the Spider-Verse came out and completely changed everything. Then the video game, I just think, it's only a matter of time and circumstance that Miles enters these films.
I would be shocked if he doesn't enter the MCU, considering they've already set him up to be in the MCU.
Right, with the Donald Glover.
Yeah, they already have his uncle there. They already said I would be pretty surprised if that goes nowhere.
Well, I think that. I just think that with they're going to focus on Spider-Man. Miles is coming, but they're going to do the animated stuff with him first. They're going
to get their mileage off of what's been successful. It's an Academy Award-winning character. But I like I said, I made this bet. What was it with RJ? I bet RJ a very expensive signed comic that I got sitting here signed by Alex Ross. they're not going to give up Miles Morales out of Sony. And I personally think that they are. Ooh, that scared me. Pop back up. That they are creating an undercarriage to make Spider-Man the center of the universe that they're building. Now, how the intricacies of those, but like I said, if you're a Sony exec, like you just made $858 million off a movie that should not have made that kind of money. So your confidence is soaring. If you put out another Venom movie that does anything approaching that, you will have had 2 movies that aren't associated with the MCU in a way that you should. Now, I'm not what's validated or not, but you know how Hollywood egos go. They're going to be like, we just did this twice. Imagine what we can do when we don't have to give first dollar to anyone else. Dude, we keep all the money.
You really think that this Venom movie is going to make that money?
I think it's going to match. At least match.
I think this looks like
it's not going to be $1 billion, but it'll do its 858.
I think this movie is going to be a heap of literal garbage.
It could be garbage. It could be garbage, but some garbage makes money.
Yeah. It seems like they've taken the Marvel route. I mean, the first 3 minutes
garbage,
of the
if you ask me,
trailer,
and that made money.
The first 3 minutes of the trailer are they're making toast and eggs, and it seems like the comedy aspect, like you got any chocolates, Miss Wang? Like it's just.
You're talking like quality over money, though. Like I said, he said Captain Marvel. Is that $1 billion?
But that was a politically correct movie, and
no. The reason why it made $1 billion because it was attached to the Infinity Saga. You take that movie and
you don't think it was at all because it was a woman lead character.
No. You know what? I agree with William. Right. They built that movie up as in like, this is the character you need to see in preparation for Endgame.
Like you
they built it up as
and
like,
you didn't.
But you did exactly. You did.
To be fair, I think both y'all went right.
Marketed it.
It was a politically correct move, and again, I've said the same thing about Black Panther. It was a politically correct move. Black Panther is I think it's a good movie. I do not think it's a great movie, and I don't think it was like. Look, I loved that they were inclusive. I loved that the cast was very, 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 very cultured. I loved everything about it. I just don't think they did the CGI was messy. The story was very ununique. I thought the Black Panther who appeared in Civil War was not the same Black Panther that appeared in Black Panther. And it didn't fit to me. And I think both of those movies are a testament to Marvel trying to be too politically correct.
I'm going to slightly disagree, especially in the case of Black Panther.
I disagree.
Do not underestimate the power of representation. Yep. I've seen every comic book movie ever put out, most of them in the theaters. All right, we did the same type of series, and we did the same type of marketing and everything we did for all these movies. And I look at the demographic when these crowds come in. And at no point in time in every comic book movie that we've ever done advanced screening for, was there anything more than maybe 5 to 6% of people that look like me. All right. When we did it for Black Panther, it was 47%. The power of inclusion is big. It's not political correctness. It's the movies you're seeing represent everybody that lives around you. And the fact that it hadn't been that way for a long time, that may seem to people like politically correct. That's not a studio's fault. That's just people taking too long to include what superheroes have looked like. Black Panther's been around since 1966.
Yeah.
So whose fault is it that it took 50-some damn years to get a black mainline superhero on the screen? That's not politically correctly. That's just taking too much damn time to get it done.
Okay.
Now, and I would hit on the story too, because you said the story. For me, I would argue that Killmonger was the best villain since Loki.
I love Killmonger. I love
Killmonger.
And as far as this story not being unique, it was the first time in an MCU movie, besides obviously where they were going to go with Thanos, that you could not completely hate the villain.
No, I get that.
You agreed with them on certain, and it created this more, thing that by the end of the movie, I saw that movie 5 times in theaters. I freaking loved that movie. I thought that was Marvel like elevated to like Christopher Nolan level for me. The complexity of the story, the way it really was. I thought
especially for me, when he said there's 1.5 billion of us around the world that don't have what you have here in this bubble of Wakanda, and he's coming at it from just about every underprivileged black person that living in Oakland, like he grew up in, that his and the difference, the contrast, the stark contrast to how they were living in Wakanda and how black folks were living around the world. I love the way Killmonger brought that to the surface, and it was very powerful. That was one of the most quality movies that they've ever done for me.
I have a very hot take about Black Panther.
Oh boy!
All right, well, we can get to that. I do have to wrap it up in a couple minutes. But so Jarbo, give us your hot take. Listen, I know I'm not saying that Black Panther was a bad movie. Right?
Oh, neither am I. Actually, the exact opposite. I
thought the dialogue. I thought most of the problems I had with Black Panther were the visual effects and what seemed to be to me politically correctness. Apparently, maybe that's not the case. Maybe I need someone. Maybe I need to talk. Maybe me and William need to sit down in a couple weeks, and you could join the podcast, and you and I can have a discussion about that.
Oh, I would love that.
Okay, all right.
I don't say, and I'm not saying you're necessarily wrong, but there's just a different point of view, just different life experiences from when I saw Black Panther and the dialogue and the thing. Now I understand you had some technical issues, CGI, and that's fair enough. But the reason why that movie made money like it did, it was including an entire audience. But that when it comes to superhero films, that was the first main line. I mean, you had Blade, but I'm talking about the first major massive budget that was part of the cinematic universe. And now that was big. And like I said, that's why that's why Sony's not going to let go of Miles Morales.
Gotcha.
When Miles Morales hits, it's going to be massive money for them. And they're not going to give that money away to anybody.
They will be.
Gotcha. Well, we'll set it up. Not this weekend, but the next weekend. You and I will sit down. But before then, I'll watch Black Panther again. You watch Black Panther again, and we'll sit down and we'll do a whole podcast about representation and inclusiveness and just the whole film, and it would be a really good time.
I think I would love that.
All right, Jarbo, hot take time.
It was not even a Black Panther movie. It was mostly about the women. No, I'm not kidding you. I walked out of that movie.
Was it a Lion King movie?
I walked out of Black Panther, and I'm all like, man, Marvel finally had its first female-led movie. And that's not a negative, by the way. That's not a I love
Shuri?
Boseman in the role. Shuri Diana Guerrero's character, Okoye, and then Lupita Nyong'o's character. Like the scene of them, like when they're in South Korea, and they're in the car, like, and Shuri's driving it from back in Wakanda, and like they're on. That's not no, but I mean, like, but a lot of people, they always talk about that movie, and they never mention the female supporting cast and how excellent they are. And it's like they brought it more than I think Chadwick Boseman did. He had he was good. I missed the guy a lot, but you look at Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and I'm like, you could focus on literally those three female characters, and there's your movie right there.
Well,
Not even
his mom, Angela Bassett.
Well, why do you think they didn't dead the franchise when Chadwick passed? Because
there's too much money at play for them to dead the franchise.
No, I think it's because they knew that they had so much great support in that film from the actresses and actors that were a part of it that they could continue the franchise in some form or fashion. Now, one last question. I do have to end this. I really do. How do we move on without Chadwick, guys?
I think you recast the role.
They've said
Shuri.
Recast a new T'Challa.
But how?
Life, huh? You get it. You get the best actors you can find. You tell him, "Here's your contract. You're going to play T'Challa."
But they said they won't do it.
Huh? Then you find somebody who's going to take that money and do it. Listen, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. He's great. He's great. And nothing means more to me than what he brought to that role. But actors are a tool to tell the story. They are not the story. If you had no plans to alter your story before he died, then you tell your story. We're all here for the story. The story comes first. And T'Challa needs to continue. The story needs to go on. I mean, I hate to say it because obviously when you lose people, obviously things pause for a little bit, but the world continues to turn. All right, and tell your story. Tell your story, and if you put the story first, you put your original plan first, your story first, you'll never go wrong. You'll never go wrong.
Well, I think what they're going to do is they're going to do the Wakanda show first before the movie comes out next year.
Okay.
I think, or there's going to be. I think it'd be smart for them to drop the show on Disney Plus first to ease people back into a Chadwick Boseman less Wakanda.
Right. But I mean, I just, you know, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. We've had several Laputi. How do you pronounce it?
Laputi Nyong.
She has come out and said that, and the actress who played Shuri, they've both come out and said that Ryan has done a great job at telling a story and paying tribute to Chadwick, respectively. You know, it's hard for me to tackle it or wrap my mind around how to move forward. Like, how are you going to do a Paul Walker kind of deal where, you know, they do the...
No, they should just make it M'Baku.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Right, but you do have to explain why he's gone.
You're using real life circumstances to cut into your story. All right, I go to a movie to see the imagination, the imaginative narrative. I'm sorry he passed. It hurts that he passed away, but that is not the story of Black Panther. Okay. All right, he is a powerful tool to tell a story up to a point. But
I agree. But don't you feel that if the recast, right? And because I agree with you, right, in that you want to continue telling the story, but if the recasting it affects the story to it will, because I can imagine it may not for me, and I actually agree with you, right? I can get with getting a different actor and just going, okay, this is T'Challa now, you know. But for other people, it may take them out of the story, and so that's why I would think that maybe Marvel, that's why they're saying
it's
no.
Not like,
I say Brian Coogler's a good enough director to tell that story. Place your bets on the people who have made you all these billions, that have told you all these great stories. They can tell a story under most circumstances. That is not something that they need to rely on their history of it being effective up to this point and not be scared of anything. That is not their role. Fear can't be their role when you're playing with any type of franchise. You have to be confident in the people that you have around you. You have to be confident in your screenwriters, your directors, your producers. That is who you go forward with. That is how you go forward in recasting them. You can't be worried about what's going on in chat rooms. See, here's the thing. When you blink, everybody watching you sees that. That's why DC is where they're at now. DC blinked and created an entire mess of their uniform. What Kevin Feige and Marvel have always done, regardless of how you feel about their content one way or another, they have never blinked. Don't blink. Continue.
It's true. It's true.
No, and I think that there's a real opportunity here for DC to be or create stories that are a little bit more interesting than Marvel. You know, we have Black Adam coming, and I don't know about how you guys feel, but I think
CEO of DC Comics right there, DC Films, is Dwayne Johnson. That's your boss.
I'm really excited to see.
If he makes $1 billion, he's gonna have a lot of clout.
It's not no Rock movie that is not him in an already previously established ensemble has crossed a bill. Not one.
This one might have a chance, man.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so.
How much you think?
No, I don't think so. I'm thinking I'll give it a good estimate of about 7 to 750 is what I'll say. But it's not going to cross a bill. It sure as hell ain't going to cross 8. It ain't going to outdo Wonder Woman.
Going to cross 8.
Nah, it ain't going to outdo Wonder
Woman.
If
Shazam did 4 with Zachary Levi, I think.
Dude. The JSA is going to be in it.
None of that matters to the general consensus of people.
Yeah,
dude, none of it matters.
Word of mouth.
Nah,
matters.
word of mouth. Oh, come on. At this point in time,
how do you think Guardians of the Galaxy became what it was?
Because the Marvel machine knows what it's doing, and that was 2014, not 2021. We're in a very different ballgame now.
right, all right.
Well, I'm not
all right.
saying word of mouth isn't going to help, but I'm saying like The Rock is an entertainer. He's not a movie star.
He
All
gets
right?
asses and seats.
Entertainers.
Does he?
entertainers,
Does
Yes,
he
he
though?
does.
I mean, like Rampage didn't do very well. You know, I mean,
Okay.
Jumanji had Kevin Hart and Jack Black to it. Never mind the legacy of Robin Williams. It wasn't
What
on The
about
Rock
things like
solely.
San Andreas? I think
San Andreas did make money. Yeah, San Andreas.
Skyscraper
I mean,
was
Rochester-
horrible,
and
didn't it?
Skyscraper. He
That-
did
that's
the-
Skyscraper did not. Okay. San Andreas only did $474 million worldwide. All right.
Okay. That's not that
Skyscraper
much.
box
Skyscraper
office
did-
did $304 million worldwide
How much did they spend on it? If you got that-
on Skyscraper
Yeah, it was too much, whatever it was.
on a budget of $125 million.
Oh.
Um, Rampage box office $428 million on a budget of $120 million.
How much they spend on Black Adam? Does it show you there?
Black Adam,
I don't think it'll be there yet.
I don't think it's there yet,
Probably
but
not
it's
yet.
like
And then we got Jungle Cruise coming out with him
Jungle
and,
Cruise. Yeah, no, and I think
Yeah,
Jungle
that-
Cruise,
That's going to be a problem.
but Jungle Cruise is based on a property. It's based on a Disney ride.
Yeah.
Right. But and to be fair, when I saw the trailer ahead of Black Widow, the trailer it did not excite
It
me.
did nothing for me.
It did not excite me. I didn't even really understand the story, to be
It
honest.
didn't do well in the sample screenings either, by the way.
Yeah. I didn't really understand what was happening.
It seems like they're trying to just copy the Pirates of the Caribbean formula with Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
And that's
Emily
well, they
Blunt.
should have done more of The Rundown. God damn it!
No,
You know
Yeah.
that was a great
you in
movie.
the rundown, bro.
I love The Rundown. That movie is fantastic. But I'm just saying, it's like, look, The Rock is an entertainer and he does bring butts to seats, but he needs something else. He's not a leading man. I'm sorry. His
Another
movies.
thing,
Yeah, he doesn't create
I think the
franchise.
promotion. Listen, if they approach Black Adam like they approach Suicide, yeah, then maybe I might have to tempt it, because I think Suicide Squad. I'm hoping, because like I said, I have zero expectations for the movie. I just want to go have fun when we go see it.
Yeah.
But I'm really worried about the ramp up to this. I hope they don't. I hope they don't wait till too late to start ramping up about Black Adam. They just wrapped production yesterday, so within 3 to 4 months, 6 months, I want to start seeing a little bit more as far as getting me excited. The biggest problem that any DCEU anything has, they've given you every reason not to get excited about their properties. They've given you every reason not to care. And
Can I just say one more thing about The Rock? Hobbs and Shaw, a spinoff of a multi-billion-dollar property, only $760 million, but on a $200 million budget. So that's not. It made money, but it didn't make enough, and there's a reason why Hobbs and Shaw 2 has not been greenlit yet.
Yeah,
you know it's coming now. Come on now.
I know
it's
it's
gonna
coming.
come.
I know
Yeah,
it's
no,
coming
it's
because
credit.
they're gonna
Yeah.
they're gonna reintegrate those characters in the Fast 10 and Fast
Right.
11, ramping. You know,
That
because
was an awful movie, by the way. F9.
I actually haven't seen it. I haven't seen it yet.
All right. Well, we can save this for next time, guys. I do have to wrap up. I am very, very, very sorry. This actually, I don't want to wrap it up. I don't. Unless someone else wants to lead for a little bit, and I can run to the store next door.
Hey, it's up to.
Austin, can you lead for a little bit?
It's only
Yeah,
8:26
sure.
Pacific time.
Yeah. That's fine.
William, where are you?
I'm in Las Vegas.
Whoa!
Hey!
Say what?
Oh, look at
Yeah.
that.
We
There's a
gonna go get
conversation
coffee
in
or what?
itself, guys.
Oh, you're in
Oh,
Vegas?
I'm in Vegas.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll be back. Give me 10 minutes. I'll be right back. Cause I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Hercules, $245 million worldwide, $100 million budget.
Yeah, I did not. Yeah, Hercules.
He don't create
Yeah.
franchises.
He don't create franchises. No.
I have this argument. I think Black Adam's going to be an issue in that, depending on how they're going to tell this story, The Rock is not a bad guy. Like every movie he's presented in, he's the hero. He's the good guy. He's the
anti-hero here. So,
but even then, if they're gonna do his origin, it's kind of anti-hero, but like he's still pretty brutal. So
he's a
my
piece of
interest is
crap in
gonna
his
see-
origin. He's a jerk.
This
in his origin.
is going to be a
Yeah.
stretch. This is going to be a hell of a stretch. But watch me be like Mr. Fantastic and stretch right now.
Right.
So, this is some flimsy logic, but The Rock, and same with Cena and Batista, because of where they come from, they are used to that type of acting. They can be the big, like, because of wrestling, the heels can be the biggest assholes they want to be. It just depends on how big of an asshole you want to be. So I think The Rock can be that asshole because have you ever seen like any of The Rock's like heel promos or any of that stuff?
All of them, every single one.
I know you have, William. I know you. We know how The Rock is as a heel, but he can, like there was the he's always been an egotistical heel, like I'm better than you. And when the Scorpion King came out, he came back and he was Hollywood Rock. So he's a big movie star now, and he's better than you because of X, Y, and Z. He's a hell of an actor. It's just, again, like he doesn't create franchises, but I think he can pull off being an asshole. It's just a matter, or a bad guy. It's just,
and I also think he could be an asshole good guy. I also think he can be a guy who's supposed to be a good guy and be a jerk. Like, because when he came back with the whole Cena thing, when they had those 2 matches at WrestleMania, and Cena was actually supposed to be the face in that, but because of what The Rock's stature was,
there's also the anti-Cena. There was also the anti-Cena movement at the time.
Yeah, that's true.
But that's always been there, and I love it now that people are nostalgic for him. I think that's hilarious.
Yeah, they want him back now because he ain't been around for a while. But no, listen, DC. The thing about them is they need to stop throwing things up against the wall to see what works. There's just no organized plan. And listen, this whole standalone plan that we want to make standalone movies. All right, that's a great concept, but comic book movies and properties in general, people are with very rare exceptions, people are looking now to have these things put together. And the reason why is because they want reason to hop from one to another. When I'm putting out a standalone in this era, I'm like, what am I talking about in between? What's the last DC movie that's been put out? I mean, and when's the next one coming out? And in that interim, we've had very little to talk about that's been positive. And they really need to create an aura around their properties that gets people talking in the absence of the films themselves. Like right now, if you look at I don't agree with everything Marvel does, but look at the way you can talk about what they're coming up, the properties that are coming up. You can speculate in a positive manner about what's going on, whether you like it or not. What if? I'm not excited about what if, but it's a cool thing to talk about alongside Loki, to talk about alongside of WandaVision and Black Widow. Whether you like Black Widow, you have a conversation to be had there that keeps you going until the next major film that they have. And then all of a sudden, here you go. You got Spider-Man, No Way Home coming out. You got Doctor Strange coming out. And then from that point, what are we talking about with DC? Even if you take away the Snyder cut and some of the extreme end that turns a lot of people off, I understand. But there's a lot of good things out there. But even if you just take the Snyderverse out of it, with the Snyderverse, you get Venom sometimes because they've been wrong. So with Warner Brothers, how people have gotten screwed there, including Zack Snyder. But that's Venom. That's one thing. The only thing worse than having that kind of Venom is having apathy. I think apathy is far more devastating to a momentum than Venom. At least with Venom, Vitriol, people are talking about you. With what's going on with the way they market these things and their ramp up to these things, nobody's talking about, these things. Either they're talking about them in a negative manner or they're just not talking about them at all. And when you're not, you have the Batman coming out in a year, you have Suicide Squad coming out in a year, you have the Flash. I mean, you have these movies coming out, and there's not. I just don't feel that they've done enough to make you care about anything that they're doing on any level, and that's going to hurt some really good movies. Hell, Suicide Squad might be an epic. It might be the best James Gunn movie out there. But I think because of this atmosphere that they've either created or not created, it's going to undercut some really good movies possibly.
And I would say too, like I think Warner took a step back because there was a time, like I remember when the first Suicide Squad was coming out and Batman versus Superman and all those movies. They were releasing trailers for those like crazy, like a year in advance, 3 or 4 minute trailers. And then, the trailers. And I remember Batman versus Superman, that final trailer gave away Doomsday. And I was like, oh, okay, give that away. But, I think maybe they might have taken the little bit of backlash that they got then from like, oh, you may be showing too much or doing too much. And now it's getting to, like you said, we didn't, Suicide Squad, they're just now a month out, ramping
guys running the company and to some extent now they don't have the spine. If they put something out and they get any type of reaction to it that they didn't plan for, their spines go away. Whereas if you're good enough, you have faith in your plan from beginning to end. You like Feige has. Feige has a plan, and he may have some missteps here and there where he may not be critically 100% with everything he's doing. Some people didn't like Thor: Dark World, but that didn't affect anything that happened with the Thor narrative or the character. No, he kept it fine. You don't blink. When there's one thing, when I got my stripes in the Army, when I was overseas, first thing that the sergeant major told me when he put them on me, don't blink. If you blink, everybody behind you is going to see that. They are not going to follow you if you give off that vibe. And that's what DC has done. They've given off the vibe that they don't have the faith in their people. And when they start rearranging things and they start cutting up things, people see that and they're like, if you didn't have enough faith in your own thing, why should I pop down $15-20 for it? Why should I take my family and spend $100 on it? You're telling me right now you didn't have faith in Zack Snyder, regardless to how you think about his filmmaking, been in your stable since 2004. All these, you have an Academy Award winner in Ben Affleck, Academy Award winner in Scream. You have all these people that have a pedigree and that don't know how to make movies. And when you blinked, and everybody in the room is like, well, hell, why am I here? You know, and another thing is like, okay, well, you're going to introduce me to a new Batman? You never finished the one you got me on 7 years ago. I don't.
Right,
Do I want to hear about your new Superman? It could be great, but why should I invest $1 into a new Superman when I'm still waiting for the resolution of the one that you introduced me to? It's that lack of. It's like if I'm eating at a restaurant and Jarbo's the chef, right? And Jarbo cooks me a great fucking steak. I hope I'm not cussing on this station here. Or a great steak, right? And I love what Jarbo's doing, right? And I'm like, I can't wait to go back next Tuesday and see you next Tuesday. Yeah. So I'm coming next Tuesday. But I come in next Tuesday, right? And TW is making the steak because somebody who never even ate at the restaurant said, I heard Jarbo's steak suck. But me, somebody who bought Jarbo's steak and loves it and it's coming back, I'm not being listened to. And that's what DC did, is they listened to a bunch of POSs that were never going to see their movies. They bent their entire narrative to people who were never going to plop down one penny for their movie. And guys like me, who plopped down the money for the steak, never got another Jarbo steak again. I kept getting bologna now. And guess what? Now we've hired another chef that may be good, that may be able to make a Jarbo steak. But they screwed me. I never got Jarbo's number 2 steak again. So why should I pay 16-ounce money for this new guy when I got screwed? You know, I don't have any faith in you. Why am I buying what you're selling when you never completed selling it to me to begin with? And that, I think, is the Batman could be a great movie. But why should anybody, even the non-geek, the 1%ers, why should anybody care? Why should anybody care?
Because Matt Reeves.
I was going to say, I'm curious to see how Pattinson handles the role, because The Lighthouse won me over as him as I love The Lighthouse. I loved it.
Yeah, but is Matt Reeves going to be enough to get the kind of money? And remember, Warner Brothers has some really ridiculous expectations sometimes for their movie. They think just by waking up in the morning, it's $1 billion. You know, even though that's a problem that they've had. Most of their execs that have had those problems are no longer around. But they think that everything that has a bat and an S on it, it has to make $1 billion. And that's a flawed mentality that has crushed them the last 6 or 7 years. So if Pattinson, I don't think Pattinson, I hate that term. I don't think the Batman, even if the Batman doesn't make $1 billion, if it goes 750 or 8, that's good money, depending on what you spend on it and how you marketed it. That's a stepping stone to your maybe by the time your trilogy is done, you make your $1 billion. You've gotten me over. But because Dark Knight, Batman Returns didn't make $1 billion, and that's one of the better Batman movies made. You ramped up, and like I said, just because you throw the bat or the S on it, Superman's Returns didn't make $1 billion. I mean, it's just. But like
Superman Returns, I think only did under 400.
Yeah.
Worldwide, and Man of Steel did what, 750?
768.
Yeah. Never mind it had earned also 161 million in promotional tie-ins before the film even came out. But I gotta dip. I gotta go on another stream for a bit. I forgot I told him I'd do that. So, but thanks for having me on, guys. Tell Ty I'll talk to him later, and that he does owe me to come on my show.
Yeah,
So-
right.
And then to answer TW's question, yeah, I'll be doing a stream later on tonight too. I'll see you guys.
Right, all right, dude.
All right, man.
But
So
yeah,
you're in Vegas, huh?
huh?
You're in Vegas?
Yeah. I'm in Vegas. Yeah, I'm born and
wow.
raised here, man. Born and raised
We're
here.
literally in the same city right now.
I know. It's like,
That's never happened to me on any of these streams.
yeah, it's never. I know. Me too. I'm like, I'll be talking to people from Boston and Washington and nobody from here. I'm like, I'm the only guy. And then I was like, when Snyder did the Army of the Dead thing, I was like, hey, maybe I'll get lucky and he'll do something here. And he decided not to take advantage of that opportunity.
He decided to destroy the city, though.
Right. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
But no, I agree. I do think, you know, for me, there's definitely a loss of interest in the DCEU when they keep announcing that they're going to be doing all these new iterations of characters that are already out there. But at the same time, too, I'm not as big of, you know, as you were talking about earlier, I'm not as big into the whole like continuity thing. I think Margot Robbie said this week that the DCU, like, it's all connected, right? But it's not going to be like Marvel, where it's literally depending on you have to see every movie.
We don't need that,
know?
though. Yeah, we don't need interdependency, but we need momentum.
Yeah,
like I don't have to. Suicide Squad doesn't have to lock into the Flash or anything else. But there's got to be some overarching narrative that gives you enough momentum. Like what happens in Suicide Squad should have any impact on the Flash. But at the same time, this entire universe has no momentum right now. And even with Marvel can put out a bad movie that is carried across the finish line by their overarching narrative, by the Infinity Saga and things like that. You know, if you take some of these movies outside of the Infinity Saga narrative, these movies don't make as much money. That's just all there is to it. But that's also good in a way, because when you do release a movie that may not have hit the mark the way you wanted it to, it's being carried by the faith that people had in your other stuff. And that's something that DC has never set up. They don't have the faith of that kind of audience to pull them over. You know, DC movies coming out, okay, great. I hear more people saying, "Oh, I'll see it when it comes out, maybe or maybe not." I don't hear anybody saying, "Damn, I'm going to be there at the midnight showing."
Right, yeah.
That's what you need. And that's the average person. Forget about like it's the nerds that are sitting and stuff like this. The average person is what you make, where you make the vast majority of your money from. You know, you make your money from the normal guys, the non eggheads like me. You know, we're going to be there no matter what. But the average guy, the average guy, they've lost out on the average guy, because the average guy is lost now. You ask the average person, what's the next DC movie coming out? I don't know.
Most normies, like my friends, have told me like they're sick of the reason why they're upset about the Batman is because like they now have to sit through Bruce Wayne's origin again. And I'm like, I totally understand. Yeah. I totally do. It's the same thing with Spider-Man and Superman. Like we all know we're used to these like changes and everything, because you know we read the comics and we're used to the character changing and everything. But for the normal people that don't read the comics, like some of my friends, they are dependent on the cast being the same in these movies.
Yes.
And when that's altered, they're questioning, should we continue to watch these movies?
Yeah,
or are they going to do this again in the next 5 years? So what?
It's an investment. It's an investment of time.
It is an investment.
Yeah.
You know?
Adam said, where did you guys think of the new Batman image? Did you guys see that? I think it was shared yesterday.
Ben Affleck one?
Ben Affleck one, he's got the Bat car, Batmobile behind him. You know, he's just all standing there.
I clicked past it because it just frustrates me. Like I said, because I'm being thrown into a brand new Batman here in a year, and I'm reminded of the one that we didn't get. And here's the thing that they could do that could make them a ton of money, and that would get them goodwill across the board. Finish what you started. Yeah. If they would just finish this 5-story arc, all right, then I am susceptible to opening my mind up to everything else, because I know that they finished something now. I know that whatever I'm about to jump into, you're going to finish it. But if I jump into to Pattinson Batman, and then you have a problem with the director or something, it's too dark. Guess what? I just spent another time, money, and interest in talking, and now I'm left out in the middle of the ocean again, waiting for another new Batman or another new director. And you just don't need that kind of buzz. It's too easy to click on something on the screen and watch something that is going to be completed. Finish. And when they say restore the Snyder Cut and release the Snyder Cut, thing like that. To me, it's more of a business narrative. Finish what you started so that people know that you can finish what you started. Now they will go on. I click on HBO Max and I watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. If I follow everything to completion, guess what? There's a whole bunch of other DC content that I can click on, and I click on Aquaman, and watch that. I can click on these other things, and now you got a subscriber. Now you're starting to brand me so that whatever you put out, I am more susceptible to it. Whereas now people are like, oh, another DC. Oh, you announced another DC project. What's that going to be? The New Gods? Yeah, okay. Most people don't think it's ever going to come out, and B, it takes too long to come out, and C, just don't care. They've done a horrible job in keeping people engaged in their product right now.
The irony of the Marvel DC debate for me has always been, Marvel's been killing it in live action, whereas DC hasn't. But then on the animation game, DC's been killing it where Marvel hasn't. I just find that to be so fascinating.
Yeah. Well, you know why? Yeah. Because the DC execs stay away from the animated universe because their jobs aren't dependent on it. Their jobs are dependent on box office receipts and stuff, but their jobs aren't depending on what kind of and that's why. If they were financially tied to the animated universe, trust me, they would be jamming that up too, unfortunately. And I hate to say that, but that's just what it is. I mean, you have studio heads that are great studios. Toby Emmerich is a good studio head. Anna Sarnoff they're great studio head. Walter Hamada is a great studio executive. That doesn't mean that they are suitable for these IPs. I mean, you could be great at one thing, but if you're not good at what I handed you,
I mean, it's obviously very much like Kevin Feige. He's not in charge of. He's not the executive for all of Disney or all of Star Wars. He's the executive for DC or not for Marvel.
Exactly. Marvel. He's been with Marvel for 20 years. He was working with Sam Raimi. He's been with these properties.
He was working with Brian Singer, and all those guys that were. He was a oh god, I know the producer on the first X-Men.
Yeah, he was underneath Donner.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why when Donner passed away, he posted that picture with him and Hugh Jackman, and people thought that meant that Hugh Jackman's coming to the MCU, and it wasn't. It was because those two guys had pivotal roles played by Donner in their careers. Obviously Hugh Jackman, that's the role that made him, and then obviously Donner, Feige came up through him, so he was a tribute to him. But yeah, you just need the right people and the right people that have the connection to these IPs, and then you would understand apathy. You would understand why people would care and not care. Why? Well, I don't need another finish the Batman you give me, and guess what? Maybe you'll start seeing the positive vibes around these new things, instead of the doubt. Because people will be on your side. You get the benefit of the doubt when you finish something. It doesn't have to be perfect, but most people want to know that you finish it. Just like TV shows. There's nothing that will kill a TV show's rating than it being on thin ice about to get canceled, or if it's a network that has a history of canceling shows in mid-run. There will be nothing that kills a something in the middle of that, because why are you going to invest one more minute into something you're probably never going to get it into?
Right. I'll be honest.
Yeah, Terminator Chronicles was the worst for that, and that was fun.
Right.
Good thing Fox can't do that no more.
Right. For me, I'll be honest. Even like with shows like Titans, right? I haven't seen Titans, and I've heard. And I know Ty loves Titans, but it's hard. It's hard. It's so hard for me to watch it because it's like
he does.
Man, I wanted to see like that. I know they're doing the whole Red Hood storyline, like that stuff that I was like, dude, I want to see Ben Affleck. That's like where I thought that would be headed and all that with that. And it's like, I don't know. It does actually, now that I think about it, it does affect like knowing that those things aren't continuing. It affects that, I may not watch shows like Titans or things like that just because I'm like,
it's a franchise-wide problem. Give me a reason to care about what you're doing. Give me a reason to care about. You got James Gunn and all these people busting their asses to make this movie, and right now you're still fighting the ghost of 7 years ago. When if you had just finished that, we would be on with our lives. If you would have just finished that, we would be on to the next thing. Because it's not
exactly.
I mean, and even when you make a finite Elseworld, that's fine. You can refer to Zack Snyder's Justice League and the world around it for the rest of your life and still make stuff about it. But the rest of us can move on to other IPs. We got a positive attitude. It's like you're poisoning the well. Nobody wants to drink out of that when they've turned people off, and they really can turn them on. I mean, right now is a perfect opportunity to turn on their fan base. Now with Black Adam, you have the new ownership coming in. I think is going to be the pivotal point, because the new ownership is about streaming, and I don't think you're going to ever see a Zack Snyder Justice League 2 or 3 on the big screen unless it's a limited release. No. I think everything they do is going to be with HBO Max and streaming. Zaslav is a streamer. Zaslav is a streamer. That's what he sees the future.
I'll be honest. I'll take it if it gives me Justice League 2 with Zack Snyder. I'll take it.
I take it in gradation.
It's not my preferred. Of course, I would love to see it on the big screen. There's nothing like that. But still, I'll take it. There. So with all that, what do you guys think with fandom? If any of new information in fandom, do you think they're going to do anything there to get anybody excited? Because I feel like last year, obviously, it was the main attraction for me last year was Zack Snyder's Justice League. That's why
the main attraction for me was Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because I'm a massive gamer and I love Rocksteady.
I'll give you that. I was very interested in that as well. Yep.
And I love the reactionaries online that everyone wants a Superman game, and in the trailer they just absolutely shitted on him by having Superman be the villain.
Right. Oh, who are you gonna kill? Oh, Superman.
That was my favorite part. Say, so you found our target yet? And they just all pointed at me.
Fuck. Yeah. Dude, so good. I was like, and I was so happy that's good, because that is in the Arkham universe, if I believe. Correct. Right?
Yeah, it takes place after Arkham Knight. Now, here's the interesting thing, and this is a rumor, so take it with a grain of salt, everyone. The reason, so apparently Rocksteady wanted to do a Superman game, but they were told no by WB, and the reason for it is that there is a rumor that it's confirmed that WB Montreal is doing Gotham Knights, but they have another project in development. The rumor is that that's the Superman game.
Oh God.
And that's where they told Rocksteady no.
Not a big fan of WB Montreal. Nothing against
Listen, man, Arkham Origins isn't that bad. It's not.
You know what? Do they even have it for like? I think I'd actually have to go and like buy the game at GameStop or something, because I don't think it's on like the Xbox store or anything.
It might be. It's the only Arkham game to not receive a remaster, and I really want it on modern consoles. I love Arkham Origins. I think I understand why people were mad. I completely understand why they were mad about the story, but
I won't bash it too much, because honestly, I gave up about maybe 2 hours into it. I was like, "This isn't."
You didn't even finish it?
No, I was like,
"Why?"
I just thought it was dumb. I didn't like the whole. A lot of things were different, and I guess that's cool for some people. For me, I was like, I was also young, so I had a thing when I was younger that, like, I'm not even kidding you, I wouldn't even watch the DC animated movies that didn't have Kevin Conroy as the voice of Batman. Like, I would not, my ears would not listen to anybody that was not Kevin Conroy and not voicing Batman. So, again, I was younger, I've grown, I've matured.
All I'm saying, dude, is give it a second chance. It's a really good game. The DLC, A Cold Heart, is basically a retelling. I don't know how you're going to feel about this because of what you just said about Kevin Conroy, but it's basically a retelling of the Mr. Freeze origin from the animated series.
I'll be cool with that. Now I'm like I said, I've matured. I've gotten used to like, I love Jensen Ackles from The Long Halloween. I thought he did a great job with the.
I still haven't seen that one. I am excited though. It looks promising.
It's good. It's really, really good. I think I've watched it a couple times. I thought it was really good. But yeah, I mean, I think I would give Arkham Origins a chance again now. I don't know. It's just something about it back then that I was like.
I mean, it is a. I will say that all they did to that game to make it different from Arkham City is they added an extra island, an extra bit of map, and they basically reskinned it to be winter. The combat is the same as Arkham City, but to be fair, at the time, and even this was like only 2 years later, the combat in Arkham City wasn't terrible. It didn't age horribly. So while Rocksteady was working on Night, they just pumped this game out to be kind of like a middle game, so that people wouldn't like
filler,
be starved for Batman.
Okay. I mean, do you ever remember or do you ever play they actually did a Superman Returns game.
Oh, I can't.
Video game, console game, back in the day.
So
that
here's
wasn't
my
too
thing.
bad, if I don't remember correctly.
Well, I mean, I will say again, I'm going to get so much hate for this because this tangent is okay. Anyway, when you're a kid, you tend to embellish things because you have a nostalgia towards it, and that's my reasoning for why the first Space Jam is looked upon so favorably. But yeah, I don't care for the first Space Jam. Space Jam is a mediocre film.
I think this is the three of us that we don't really care for the Space Jam.
I get so much crap for, you're just a hater. You don't understand what it did for the culture. Like, what did it do for the culture except show an hour-long Nike commercial with advertisements all over the place and a subpar soundtrack?
Yeah,
it depends on
the only iconic song is "I Believe I Can Fly" by R. Kelly.
Right.
But here's the thing, though. During that era that the original one was released in, and even now, they're aiming towards a demographic that is just not in these discussions. And they're not critics. They're not guys like you. There is a demographic that will make or break Space Jam any 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. And we're just not necessarily
children and basketball fans.
The original Space Jam holds the place in the 1996. I'm not a LeBron fan. In the 1996 box office, it holds the spot of number 15 of highest grossing movies of the year. So it just made the top 15. But I mean, there's a lot of better movies that are above it. So
yeah. Oh, sheesh. Yeah. I mean, again, I didn't. I was. Yeah. For me, all that stuff is about. I'm not a big basketball person. So
I mean, to be fair, it is. I watched a bit of Doug Walker's review of Space Jam 2, and he summed up Space Jam 1 perfectly. It's the most 90s thing you can think of because it's Michael Jordan, it's the Looney Tunes, and they're playing basketball.
Exactly.
It's basically what the second one was, so with a lot more commercialism to it. But that's where we are in 2021.
There's a Rick and Morty cameo in Space Jam 2, and I don't know how to feel about it.
There's a White Walker in Space Jam 2.
Oh my
White Walker from the porn-driven Game of Thrones, which I love, by the way. But Bugs Bunny is in there, and there's a White Walker in there. And
the dude from A Clockwork Orange is in there.
Violent show. It's out there. So they were just showcasing HBO Max.
What's up, guys?
Ty's turning into Zack Snyder, guys. Hold on, give him a second. Putting on his Zack Snyder costume.
I actually wanted to talk to him about something.
People say that I sound like Zack Snyder. I've never heard it, but everyone always says it, and
they're
it's
wrong.
Weird. What?
I'm kidding.
You're wrong.
You sound like Al Pacino.
They're wrong. No, I'm kidding.
I didn't say it. I'm saying they said it. So, I mean, I don't know how.
You sound a little bit like Al Pacino. What do you say?
It sounds exactly like a young version of Al Pacino.
Like a Scarface version. Yeah.
Like if you watch Heat, if you recited the lines from Heat in the coffee scene, I would swear I'm listening to Al
Pacino. I also, I've been across the country and back, and I always get mistaken for Tobey Maguire.
I can see that.
Why Tugboat?
Which aggravates the shit out of me because I
can see that.
I'm the biggest Toby hater. Yeah. So
I actually want to make this a discussion now. Why do you hate Toby?
Yeah, what do you got against Toby?
No, I'm not saying it as a defensive fan. I'm saying it as someone that's just just curious as all hell.
I'm saying it as a defensive fan, motherfucker. No.
Andrew Spider-Man.
I don't think. First off, I think Toby has a face that only a mother could love.
Caden said Toby has a punchable face.
Oh yeah, yes, Toby has a punchable face. So maybe I do too. I don't know. I just think that there are some movies I like Toby in. There are others I don't like Toby in. For instance, I don't like they don't just mistake me for Tobey Maguire the actor. They mistake me for Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and I despise his Spider-Man. I think it is
wow.
I think it's the worst incarnation of Spider-Man.
Whoa!
He
Don't tell-
is
don't tell Andrew.
awful
Oh boy.
as Spider-Man.
I want to dissect this. Please inform me.
Hold on, I need to find my heart medication.
Is it because of how the character was written in the films? Because I do believe that there is a lot.
Oh.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say on RJ's stream. Is that I believe that as far as writing the character goes, there's a lot of self narration, and I understand that's supposed to come off as like the internal monologue panels in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that, but to the average person, that's going to become like that can get annoying. I honestly think it sometimes gets a little annoying.
And he, I mean, he's supposed to be like when I think of Peter Parker, or at least an origin story of Peter Parker, I think, you know, a young kid in high school. How old was Toby when he started playing Spider-Man? I think he was.
45.
And this is not uncommon. I'm not saying it's uncommon.
Wasn't he in
Even
his
Tom
30s?
Holland is older than, you know.
Well, Tom Holland's my age. He's 25.
Yeah, even though he's older than he's portraying, but like me, he looks a lot younger. Toby did not look high school age when he's or college.
To be fair, none of them did.
None of them did.
Yeah.
And I liked, to be honest, I like the Amazing Spider-Man more. The only problem I had with it was I liked, well, the problems I didn't have with it were I liked how it took risks. I liked, you know, how they ended up killing Gwen Stacy in a way that no one thought they would ever do in a movie like that. That sequence was so powerful, but there was nothing like that in the Raimi films. Don't get me wrong. The Spider-Man Raimi films are iconic. They revolutionized superhero films in the new age. And there's no question about it.
But how have they aged? Is the question. I said, how have they? It's like
I think 1 and 2 have aged very well. I think they both aged very well.
Yeah, as far as like how they aged.
2 better than all of them.
2's one of the
best of
Spider-Man movies.
But yeah, I would say the first one influenced.
I didn't like the trilogy. It didn't do it for me. And then the Amazing Spider-Man I really liked. I just thought Andrew Garfield was too pretty, to be honest.
You thought he was too?
What the hell?
He's way too pretty.
He's too hot.
He's too good looking to be
too
Peter
handsome.
Parker.
It's supposed to be relatable to people like me.
Yes.
No,
yeah. But for me, Tom Holland is kind of like the best of both worlds. I think he's the perfect Peter Parker.
Andrew's Peter came off as a hipster.
Yes.
That's where I come in.
Yes. Andrew's Peter came off as a hipster. Sure. He was like super good at skateboarding. You know, like
look at my sick tricks, bro.
Like he was walking down the hallway as if every girl in school would like turn towards him. Like, come on. And
even like his Peter would like stand up for the little guy sometimes, but he was more of a coward. He had more cowardice than anything. Like being Spider-Man gave him the courage to be more brave as Peter over time.
Yeah.
And as far as Toby goes, this is gonna piss some people off, but Toby was a wino.
He was such a whiny bastard. Oh my god! All he did was cry.
Photos. I want my money. To be fair, though, that's anyone in New York that tries to.
The best part about the original trilogy is J.K. Simmons.
I was gonna say the thing we can at least say the original trilogy gave us was the quality of memes.
Okay, well, and the villains. I thought the villains
and the villains.
The villains are really good in the original
first
trilogy.
I didn't like Hot Wheel Norman Osborn.
No, okay.
No. He's a classic.
Yeah, you're right. The first two. Skinny Venom. Yeah, no, I'm not on board with that.
You know what? I like Sandman from the third one.
Sandman was good. Yeah, Sandman was
Sandman
good.
storyline.
Sony added Venom. Sony added Venom in because of how popular he was as a villain. They wanted to make him have his own series back then. And so they that's why they interfered and put him in this movie, because it was originally going to be just Sandman and New Goblin, because that was the story that Raimi had been setting up. But Sony came in and interfered. Now, here's the thing. I don't like the actor that played Venom, but I don't hate that variant of Venom's suit. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. No, for that universe, it fits. For that universe, it fits.
What I took my headphones off. Can you repeat it?
I was saying I actually like the way that the Venom suit looks in the Raimi verse, only because of like how it fits in that universe. If it was in any other universe, it wouldn't work. But if the Raimi verse, that version works. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
The way that it looks.
I want to see the new. That's if they do what I think. Like I said, what I think they're going to do is they're going to use all those strands that you saw at the end of Loki. Mm-hmm. They're going to basically do what they did with Superboy and Superman in '87 with Crisis. They're basically going to reinsert a character back in with their new origin. I think they're going to merge your Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to actually be part of Venom's history this time. Okay. I think they're going to merge that.
Do you think that they're going to do something like Crisis on Infinite Earths did, where to kind of simplify it, they brought there wasn't it wasn't a multiverse, so to say, anymore. Like they brought all the characters into like one big story.
They're going to do a reverse. Here's what I think they're going to do. If something's going to happen with Spider-Man No Way Home, something's going to happen with him and Doctor Strange, and these universes are going to be fracturing. And the only way they're going to have somehow, some way, they're going to have to be on either side of something, some type of barrier. And the side that Spider-Man is on is going to be the parts where his universes that he's in have been fractured, and they're either going to get destroyed or he can put them together via Doctor Strange. And somehow, some way, the Sonyverse will include Spider-Man from its beginning all the way through. It'll be rewoven into what we know, and that's how you'll get a Venom that is relevant to him instead of a Venom that has nothing to do with him, with no white spider on his chest, etc., etc. And then all these other characters will have been woven into his history.
Okay,
it'll be like when they separated Superboy and the Time Trapper created a pocket universe explicitly for him and his reality, so that the Legion of Superheroes had somewhere to go back to, since he was a founding member of them, and they needed to have that history tied together. Whereas Superman was never Superboy. So that's how they'll do a reverse effect on that, to where they merge the universe that they are building that did not include Tom Holland into a universe that has always included Tom Holland.
See,
that's when you see strands. That's when you see when Loki, though everything's falling apart, something's going to happen with Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, to where he is the vessel to fix things. And the only way he can fix things is to no longer be part of one.
Okay.
So that's just, from what I can see. Could be totally wrong, but that's my theory.
Yeah, but that's part of the fun of these things, man, is the speculation, right? They've built these universes so that we can talk about them. Well, they built the universes for the money, but I mean, these universes, that's like half the fun of it, is being able to speculate what's happening next, what's going to happen, who's going to do what, who's going to be where. And you know what? I'm excited for No Way Home, because finally we get to see a Peter Parker or a Spider-Man who doesn't have, the Avengers behind him.
But he's still Doctor Strange. Now he's Doctor Strange Jr. instead of Iron Man Jr.
Right.
And that's why I think Tony needs to take him back.
Right.
That's why I think she needs to go back to them being exclusively. And the reason being is because he is the face of Marvel Comics for the last 60 some odd years. He is when you bought a comic, Spider-Man was on the lower left hand of your corner. Mm-hmm. And he is not a sidekick. He is not a side piece to any team. When you put Spider-Man in the universe, you build the characters around him. 20-some% of all Marvel characters at one time originated as a Spider-Man villain or some type of story derivative of. And that's he needs to be the center of his own universe, and that hasn't happened. He basically should have a sidecar for Tony Stark. He was in Spider-Man Far From Home. Tony Stark is dead. He literally is upstaged by a dead guy's glasses in his own movie.
I actually agree with RJ on how everything is proceeding with this Peter Parker Spider-Man. Like, I believe that I even made this comparison the only thing I have a problem with these movies is they all kind of share a similar name, and that's confusing as all heck. So let me see if I can get this right. In Homecoming, Peter's attitude is he wants to impress Tony, but he wants to be a superhero. He can't wait. He doesn't care about being Peter Parker. He just wants to be Spider-Man 24/7. And then after Infinity War, in Far From Home, he does not want anything to do with being a hero. He just wants to go on his vacation and be Peter Parker for a whole day and do things that Peter Parker would do. And through the course of that movie, it's in a weird way, it's kind of the same lesson that the Peter and everyone teaches Miles in Spider-Verse, which is, don't be we don't ask you to be the next Iron Man, Peter, but Tony wants you to be your own person. Be the first Spider-Man. Don't be the next Iron Man. Because he even says that in the movie, like, I don't know how I could be the next Iron Man. And everyone's like, no, we don't want you to be that. Tony wants you to be your own person. And I think there's an arc coming that in this movie we'll see that continue. I just think that we have to give them time to flush it out and see where it goes from there.
But see, if I'm Sony, I'm like, Spider-Man has never needed any of that. Has never needed any of that to have any type of success like that. You could tell these stories absent of all the clutter. You could tell just as compelling story with Spider-Man, absent all these sidekick things and him. They are terrified. It's almost like they're afraid for him to be on his own as a character. When Spider-Man never needed Tony Stark to do any technology for him, he was a genius. He created his own webbing.
But he did have his own mentors in the comics, though. Like,
yeah, but after he became Spider-Man, though, after he had developed himself, he would hang out with Reed Richards and everything else. But the core of his being as Spider-Man and figuring things out always came, for the most part, around him. It always centered around him. You would go, if you read the Spider-Man comics, I know the movies are different from the comics, but you would have a guest appearance, and that guest appearance was to benefit that other character. Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Ditko would put you, Spider-Man, he would either bring him to your book to benefit your book, or you would bring him into his book to benefit your book, that character, because you're hanging out with the man, Spider-Man. Spider-Man has not been treated that way in the MCU. All right, and it's because they had to develop, they were already successful universe before they even brought him in.
Right.
Spider-Man needs to be the man in the universe. I think you'll get the best stories when he is the man in his own, when he's fighting the Green Goblin on his own, with his own wits, when he's fighting the Hobgoblin or any of his other men. And it's this Tom Holland, I think, can do it. And I think they played this right. I think they waited till they got the exposure to this character. And I know what Jarbo said, well, it's to fans, it's the MCU universe. Listen, if you put out a brand new Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland in it, and it's a good movie, and it's got good hype, fans are going to go see it. They're going to go see Tom Holland Spider-Man, period.
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't mean they're not going to be, if this is not connected to the MCU, I'm not going to go see it. No, they ain't. They're going to go see that movie.
So why?
I think some would, honestly. I think some would, because they care about the continuity and they like this version being in the MCU. That's why
not enough to Sony should be concerned about.
That's why there was such a big uproar last year when it was like worried that they might pull him away. That's why there was such a big uproar.
Well, because they needed him for this story.
For
but beyond the story,
the end of the Infinity Saga.
The multiverse saga. That was part of it. They need him for that.
Oh, you're talking about for now, the story now.
Yeah, that's why these last two films take place in that narrative. But once that narrative's done, that's why when that Sony exec said you're going to see a lot more come to fruition after. No, I think they're taking their character and they're building a universe around their character, and I think they're using this storyline to do it. And there's nothing to lose on their part. They have nothing to lose.
Well, William, I really can't wait to see if you're right or not, because if you're right, I think a lot of people are going to be upset. I do. But then again,
they're not going to know any better.
But they're not unless you're people like us, they're not going to know any better. They're just going to be like, oh, this is still the same. And but that's the thing I think that Sony is banking on. They've allowed all these characters to enter the MCU, to cross over, yada yada. And I think they're banking on people assuming that Venom, Morbius, all those characters are in the MCU, when in reality they're, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But I think Sony is banking on the general audience not really knowing, right?
Or caring. So here's why. All these characters that are in the MCU aren't going to be in every Spider-Man movie anyway.
Exactly.
So you're only going to have if you put Spider-Man villains in a Spider-Man movie, you only got 2 hours. It's not like, oh, he's not in the MCU. You mean I'm not going to have all 5,000 Avengers and all 5 million MCU characters in there for those 2 hours, I don't think people are going to care. They needed him right now because the narrative includes him, and he's an important part of this particular narrative. But Kevin Feige and them are moving on. They're moving on to Fantastic Four type characters. They're moving on beyond this.
To the X-Men. I don't think there is a, there is a possibility that we get to an MCU where we don't need a Spider-Man, or or it's not that we don't need one. It's just no one's not going to notice that there's not one.
Neither side, Sony or DC. No, DC. Oh, wow. Neither side, Sony or MCU, neither side needs each other at this point after this deal's over. The MCU has plenty of people, plenty of IPs to blow up. And Sony is not going to need,
Speaking of which, we've had a lot of bad iterations of the Fantastic Four. What?
Only one bad iteration.
I like that. That first one was as cheesy as it should have been.
The Fan Forster one was bad, but the original two were, well, at least the original one was.
Well, yeah, until Galactus, a smoke monster. That's
that's why I said the first Fantastic Four movie is really good. I think it gets overshadowed a lot, honestly.
Okay, okay, whatever. In my opinion, no, that we have not had a good Fantastic Four movie. How do you think Marvel is going to go about this? Because these are characters that, these are characters that are kind of hard to get right. Because if you, we've seen it time and time again. If you screw one thing up, it ruins it, right? Like Reed Richards, his powers are very not goofy, but right, they're
his powers are secondary to his character, though. It's his brain.
Right, his brain. That's the power, right? So I think Marvel needs to focus on that aspect, and then the powers are secondary. But then we have the other three, which you need to do, you need to get it spot on. And Marvel, I think, does have a good track record with these team up kind of ensemble films. Do you have any ideas on who you want to play certain characters? And please don't say John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
I never do that, and not to dodge your question, because when I think of these characters, I'm thinking them in a way that I would write their story. And that led me to look like a fool when Heath Ledger was announced as a Joker. I laughed. I'm like, oh, Brokeback Joker? Ooh. So, but I didn't know what kind of story that Nolan was putting forth.
Okay.
Until I know the type of story that they're putting together and what kind of temperament that their character, it's really hard to say, because all we're doing then is we're doing cosmetic. We're doing, he looks like him, he feels like him, that should be it.
Right.
And then the story comes along and it's a bad fit. So
William, I'm gonna have to bring you around here more often. You keep me in check, because in my mind, that's an easy question to answer, right? Right? Let's fan cast, but I never thought about it like that. Right? We don't know what story's being told, so we're simply looking at it cosmetically, right? Yeah, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. Because I would have never chosen Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman. Never.
Neither would Warner Brothers had Zack Snyder.
Had Zack not had the say in that.
Momoa too.
But are you guys? How excited? All right. Final topic of the day. Final topic of the night. Justice League motion comic. For, against, meh.
No opinion.
No opinion?
No opinion.
Okay.
I've never been fully invested in the Snyderverse. I don't hate it or dislike it. In fact, I was actually quite what's the word I'm looking for here? When I saw the release of Snyder Cut movement start, I was like, okay, I can get behind this. Y'all want a man to finish his vision. I completely understand that. I'm all for it. But I've never been a big Snyderverse mark, so I have no opinion.
I am.
Okay.
I'm a Snyderverse mark. So
yeah.
My opinion about it is anything that keeps the conversation going in a positive light. Anything, if the fans and the people like us and whoever's the people that put it together have to be the bridge in between, what we have and what we could get, I'm all for it. It's for a good cause. There's nothing bad that can come from it. It's supporting a cause that we've supported here. There's nothing bad that can come out of it. Even if they come out with, Warner Discovery comes in and day one says, we're going to make the Snyderverse in our way, and none of the stuff that they put in their thing is relevant anymore. It's still something that keeps the conversation going while we are waiting for something to come from Warner Brothers official.
Right, and they got some great people involved.
I do have a question for William. Do you think that if this motion comic comes through, will that give a semi case of the closure you're talking about with the Snyderverse, or you think that's not enough, that they have to like?
No. This is something. This is a passion project.
The gap.
It is bridging the gap and keeping us excited and keeping us going. Because right now,
if anything, it'll encourage it. It'll encourage wanting it to be finished.
Yeah, it'll encourage it. It'll get other people in the conversation. It'll keep it out there in the exposure so that people who are not, there's so many people that I've introduced Zack Snyder's world to that had never jumped on board. And while we're sitting here waiting, we've actually, in the 7 years since all this has started, the audience has grown. And people have become more receptive to Zack Snyder stuff. Because remember, when Zack Snyder stuff came out, we had this stupid Marvel versus DC team war as if we were getting checks from either company instead of people just going to the movie. Now the environment is such that we can do these type of things that they're doing, and people that are not Snyder cut, hardcore guys like me can jump in now and say, what's this all about? It's just another doorway to give people what's going on here. And then once we got them, by the way, there's this 4-hour movie I want you to watch.
Gotcha. All right, guys. Well, that's it's about enough time. I think 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours is a good enough time slot to end it. I do want to thank each of you for joining us tonight. This has been so fun. William, we will set that up.
You know how to reach me, so.
Yeah, I do know how to reach you. DM me after the show, and then I'll get your email or phone number or something like that. That way we can get that set up. And then Metaverse, same thing. Basically, what I'm doing for my podcast or our podcast going forward is it'll be me and then one other person, Joe Rogan style.
You're doing the guest hosts, aren't you?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like you're the host, but you always have like a guest host with you.
Yes.
I'm trying to get that same thing going for my podcast, my man. I got you.
Yeah. So it'll be me, and even if it's Austin, right? Austin's a part of the team, but even if it's just Austin, each week it'll be someone different. We'll just have conversations about the things that we love. There's no agenda. There's no criteria, except for William and I. We do have like a agenda kind of going into it with the Black Panther stuff, but typically there'll be no agenda, and it's not live. It's live for members only on YouTube, but then it goes to only audio podcast platforms that same day. It's a new thing that we're trying out, and I'm really excited about it. But it's going to be me and one other person each week, kind of just discussing the things that we love. And I'm super excited about it, and I'm super excited because it kind of allows me to get to know William on a personal level, Metaverse on a personal level. I know Austin on a personal level already, but it allows me to explore other things that I might not have known, So
we need to hook up, Austin.
Yeah,
dude,
absolutely. For sure, guys. For sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll talk after this for sure.
So this new podcast style is going to be very intimate. It's going to be very engaging. It's going to be it's very fun. So picture this. It's like a mix between Joe Rogan and John Campea, and I say John Campea in a sense of his topics. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of John Campea.
I'm not either. That man irritated me when he said his take about Ahsoka being what did he call her?
An unhealthy obsession of Dave Filoni.
A masochistic fantasy type thing, and I was like,
I'm just relating it to. It's Joe Rogan meets John Campea's topics, because he talks about the stuff that we talk about, but in a Joe Rogan setting. So it's me and one other person. I would love to have you guys in studio, but I'm in Boston. But guess what? I am in the works, finally in the works of looking at houses in the West Coast.
Vegas.
So,
Vegas, baby.
Well, that's further away from
the
me,
plan
but...
has always been to take the show out west, and now it is finally coming to fruition. So one day we will all be able to get into the same studio, especially the more and more we grow, the more and more that idea is a must. So, guys, let's start plugging. William, start it off.
You can find me at the Sci-Fi Center. Just Google the Sci-Fi Center. Anything you ever need to know about me is there.
The Sci-Fi Center. Okay.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now.
Yep. I love it, by the way. I love that. The red background and everything.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Metaverse.
So I have a podcast of my own. Right now, we are on a temporary break, but that temporary break is about to come to a close in I would say about maybe 3-4 weeks. Don't quote me on that. Either way, yeah, I have a podcast sort of similar to yours, Ty. We talk about all things. The name of the podcast is Talking Meta. If you want to look us up on SoundCloud or Spotify, we're on.
Pause.
What?
My headphones are super uncomfortable right now. Can you repeat the podcast name?
Talking Meta.
Oh, Talking Meta. I like that.
Yeah. Like we do the same thing. I was saying we do the same thing you do, Ty. Like talk. I want to bring on a lot of different people so we can talk about different topics. Right now, I have 5 episodes out covering everything from my thoughts on the Snyder Cut and Invincible to both WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yeah, y'all ain't gonna like my take on Snyder Cut, but that's beside the point.
No. I'm talking about Invincible. Invincible's amazing.
You might like my take. You might like my take. Wait, what?
It's amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. I thought you were doing I thought you were doing the thing I did for Campea. Anyway,
no.
Yeah, and you can also find me.
I would love to join you sometime.
Oh yeah. I would love to have y'all on there. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm also on Twitter at the most meta. And Ty, I think you'll like this. At Metaverse, we have a saying. The slogan of Metaverse, Talking Meta and Metaverse, is here in the Metaverse, we relish the past, enjoy the present, and embrace the future.
My man.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I really do.
We're all about creating a positive. The irony is that we're trying to create like a comfortable place on the internet for people to form bonds over stuff that they like.
Yeah, that's the
even if you don't agree with them, you should still be able to have a conversation.
You may not agree on one thing, but we'll find something that you can agree on and talk about in a positive light.
But that's the thing is no one likes to come to a show and all 5, 6, 7 people, or even just both of the people are agreeing on every single thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what you just said. Yeah. There's gotta be a little bit of animosity or controversy, right? It's like, I don't agree with what you're saying, but I respect the right to your opinion.
Yeah, I know someone that has one of those lovely echo chamber podcasts, and it's no bueno.
There he is! I haven't seen him in days. Integrity, where you been, dude?
Holy crap!
Oh my god!
All right, guys. For anyone who doesn't know, Integrity is he shows up to almost every single one of our shows, and he says the same exact thing. But I love him for it. Integrity is one of my favorite people. He always jumps in and he goes, Zach is back, and he will direct Zack Snyder's Justice League 2.
Is that a troll?
No, he's not. He's not.
He's 100% for real.
Person.
Yes,
he's a great person. He does this. I love him. He gets it, but that's not the only thing he says. I mean,
No,
It takes a second.
no.
You gotta. You gotta get him into the conversation. He just likes to start that way.
He starts his conversations by saying this,
Oh,
and
Jesus. Imagine starting that off like walking into a bar to meet your buddies. That's the first thing you say opening the door. Just yell it at the top of your lungs. Everyone's gonna be like, what the heck is wrong with him?
One day I want to have Integrity on. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do.
I did too, yeah.
I have a feeling Integrity is a great guy or a great woman. I don't.
Absolutely.
He's got integrity.
Yeah. But no, Integrity is the biggest supporter of the Snyderverse, and him and I have had it out. He said to me, he said, I can guarantee the Snyderverse is going to be restored. I guarantee it. And I said, listen, I want it to be restored as well. I just don't know. And so
it's a good thing he didn't come in when Jarbo was here then, because
but listen, he's a firm believer, and if the day ever does come where the Snyderverse is greenlit, Integrity, you better be here, because we are gonna celebrate like we've never celebrated before. I'm sober, but I'll pop some bubbly. I won't drink it, but I'll pop some bubbly and we'll have a good time.
Just drink some fizzy grape juice.
Yes, I'll make it look like I'm
do the sparkling cider.
There you go.
Yeah. Or what is it? O'Doul's?
Yeah.
O'Doul's.
I get story, real quick story about O'Doul's.
I'm an alcoholic, but I wouldn't even subject myself to O'Doul's.
We hit land at El Salim Air Base in the Middle East, and it was a dry mission, so our whole deployment was dry. You could not drink any alcohol because they saw that stuff at the PX, which is a post exchange. Everybody ran to the cooler because it looked like real beer. And as soon as they got close enough to see that non-alcoholic sign, it's like Wile E. Coyote running into that wall. It was so funny. But
actually, I come from a military family, and I've been to Pendleton. I've been to a lot of bases in the United States.
I grew up on them.
Yeah, thank you for your service. My best friend Andrew, him and I would always be talking on the phone. Whatever God, whatever time it was for him, it was like 3 a.m. for me, or 5 a.m. for me. He would always call at the most random times, and we would just talk and talk and talk. And that's the one thing he always mentioned. He's like, dude, this place, like Kuwait, dry country, right? He's like, it's the worst thing. It's the worst thing, right? Like the dry country. You're already sitting here in the desert or sitting here in the sand, and like you can't have a beer. It's tough. So I do, but I respect your service. Thank you for your service. And it's people like you who truly make this country the best country in the world.
I think we all do, but thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, guys. So that's going to be doing it. Actually, Austin, plug our stuff. I forgot.
Yeah, guys, as always, you can find us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at the Pop Culture Corner. Here on YouTube, of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all of your friends. And catch us next time tomorrow for the Saturday podcast, members only. It'll be live. And then on all podcasts.
Brandon Spink. He was in Fear Street Part 2, and he played young Bruce Wayne in Batman v Superman. He's a good friend of mine now, and he's going to be joining the podcast tomorrow. Then on the 21st, we have Charlie Talbert, who was in The Watchmen show. Then on the 23rd, Richard Citroni. We all know who Richard Citroni is. Come on.
I don't.
And then on the 26th, Mark Pellegrino, another good friend of mine from Supernatural, Lost, 13 Reasons Why, and the list goes on, like Dexter. And then finally, to end out the month, Evan Corliss is going to be stopping by sometime this week. Singer, songwriter, and rapper. He'll also be stopping by. And then the final day of the month, John Aaron Garza is going to be stopping in, and we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. So lots of interviews, lots of stuff, and we'll be raising a lot of money for breast cancer. If you can share the link, that means a lot to me, guys. And William will set that up. I got a couple open dates that I think could work. Metaverse, same thing. Hit me up, and we'll all be doing this again every week. We do a panel, and I want each one of you to be back every single time.
You do it on the same day?
No, I'm kidding. Yeah,
no. So I had an interview on Wednesday with Tucky Williams, and we usually do the panels on Wednesdays. I don't know if that's different or tough for you.
Fridays. If you ever do them on Fridays, I'm there.
All right,
Wednesdays, Wednesdays are what a tough day for me. But you know,
why don't we do them on Friday, Austin?
Yeah,
I think
because it seems like the best day to do it.
I don't. It's your channel. I don't know.
It's our channel.
Typical political move. Well, I mean, I don't know, but it's your stuff.
Don't put it on me, dude. Put it back on him. Don't put this on me. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll talk. We'll talk because I think I like the Friday panel. And then vodka streams start right now, so it's like a lead into the vodka stream. So, guys. Our saying here at the Pop Culture Corner is we do it for you and we do it for the culture. That's it. See you next time.